Another win for the Sabres last night means their first 4-game win streak in over 2 years. The last Sabre 4-game win streak was on January 26th of 2023. They get there last night with a 3-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets. 2 goals by Alex Tuch, both on deflections, led the way for the Sabres. They are, though, still 10 points back of Columbus, who was occupying that final playoff spot going into the night. Sabres are getting hot at a weird time. I mean, they have a game on Saturday against Nashville, and then it's a 2-week break for the Sabres. So looking for a 5th straight win before the 2-week break for the Four Nations tournament in Boston and Montreal. Saturday at 8 o'clock, by the way, in Nashville is next up. Tage Thompson did not play last night. We'll see if we get more on his status from Lindy Ruff. We'll talk to him a little bit later on this morning. To football. Super Bowl week continues. Travis Kelce, unsurprisingly, when asked about when he might retire, says he's got a lot of football left in him, does not indicate at all that this is his final season in the NFL. Elsewhere around Radio Row and the Super Bowl, Kirk Cousins says that his future with the Falcons is uncertain and that he would still like to be a starter in the NFL. That was a week after Falcons GM Terry Fontenot said they would be comfortable having Cousins as their backup to Michael Penix next season. Daniel Popper, The Athletic, reports the Chargers will be in the driver's seat for Khalil Mack in free agency, and then Mack is very open to returning to L.A. Alec Lewis of The Athletic reports that Sam Darnold is interested in the Raiders and learning under Tom Brady, who is the minority owner in Vegas. One last football note, Ian Rappaport reports the Rams are willing to eat some of the money in a Cooper Kupp trade. He has a big signing bonus this year and is on the trade market, so Rams making it easier for a team to acquire Kupp. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Hey, everybody, good morning. Who would have thought, Joe, who would have thought that Dennis Gilbert, after that fight, would have another play more memorable? I mean, that was a pretty sweet pass. It was really nice.
He picked him out perfectly on the tape.
Yeah, you get in the fight, start of the game, like, all right, cool. I'm going to remember you did that. And then, man, that pass was nice. Sabres win their 4th in a row. And, okay.
Good, right?
Sure.
They won if you were a fan that wanted to go have a night and they had a homestand here, if you went to any of those 4 games, you left happy. I'll take it.
I went to 2 of the 4, saw 2 wins.
Me too.
Not bad.
I'll take anything at this point with that.
Here's the question. Honest question for everybody out there. If I were to say I opened up the standings and I did, let's do some work here. Let's take some. Is that something I should do? Or
go ahead. Give me the or first, because I think I've already got my answer.
The first question is that something I should do? Not or. Is that something I should do? And would you like to know the results of what I have calculated?
One, I don't think that is something you should do. I think that is crazy person behavior.
All right.
Given where they are or where they've been and knowing how far back they are. Even having a general sense, but sure, give me the where are they at?
You want the results?
They're still. The only thing I know right now is that they are, even though they're on a 4-game win streak, they are still 4 points back of anybody else in the Eastern Conference.
Okay,
is that a negative? Too negative a way of looking at it?
That's not something I looked at. I didn't look at. I have to redo my math based on point percentage here, actually. By the way, so I'll let you know how I do.
It sounds like that could take forever.
It could. Here's how to do it. Here's how to decide, should I get excited about this or what does it all really mean? And I did it first on points, and I should have done it on point percentage.
By the way, nice that they're getting hot just in time for a 2-week break. Sweet.
Momentum.
Right, we'll see if they come out of it with the same.
Well,
they play Saturday. Then
the team they beat last night is in the wild card race. So anyway,
yes.
Here's how you do it. The last wild card spot is held by Detroit right now on point percentage. Yes,
right.
because they have one more point than Tampa.
But two more games played.
That's right.
Okay.
So Detroit has 61 points in 54 games, right?
Yep.
That is, over 82 games, going to be a 92.6 pace.
Which, by the way, was always predictable when we were sitting here in December. Like, wow, the point pace is only 85. Like, it was always going to go back up.
So the best way to say that is, if you want to make the playoffs, the Sabres should want to have 93 points.
Okay. 93 points.
93
they have right
points. They have 49.
Okay.
So they need 44 points in 29 games.
Okay. Go ahead. What does that equate to? In 29 games, 44 points?
Yeah, 44 points in 29 games.
So they got to go something like 27-2?
Yes. 20.
That doesn't even do it.
That's 44 points.
That's exactly 44?
20-7-2. Yeah, that'll do it. You want to do it a little bit like 19?
No, that's 40. Yeah, it's 42 points. 42 points. So that would get them to 91.
No, 44. 20 and 22. 27-2 is 44 points. It's before 7, so math's tough.
No, it's not.
20 times
20
2 is 40.
times 2 is 40, and then over 2 points, you don't get 2 for overtime loss.
You're right, you get 1 before.
Sorry.
Okay.
We could just make this simpler and say 22-7.
Sure.
22-7?
Yep, that's right.
Get rid of the overtime losses. We're good.
All right, hold on. 25-4. Let's do that.
Okay, there you go.
So 20 wins, 5 losses, and 4 overtime losses.
That gets you
and you might make the playoffs.
They're not capable of that.
20 more wins, and it's interesting.
10 more wins, and it's interesting because then if I got to do, hey, guys, they only got to be, 10-4-5 or 10-5-4, then, okay, I'm listening. That was always going to happen. Especially when you have a 13-game losing streak during a season, if you want to have a shot, you basically have to filter in a 9 or a 10-game win streak. And they still haven't done that, and they're halfway to one of those right now. So maybe they can get there now. But without something incredible like that, they're not coming close to making the playoffs. Right?
No.
They could be really good the rest of the way, and they won't come close to making the playoffs. That's if that playoff pace even stays the same. So I'm glad they're winning. I'm just not thinking at all it's realistic.
Are you?
Because even when they're winning these games, maybe Boston's a little different. They won by 5, but do they look dominant in any of these games? Do they look incredible? They have periods at a time where they look great. That first period against New Jersey, they were great. But beginning of a game to end of a game, they grind out that game against Columbus last night, who's missing their 3 top scorers. And I don't want to take the credit away from them. I thought were just as good, and they didn't have Thompson, but they didn't go in and roll the Blue Jackets last night. It was a pretty even hockey game. So without them showing up and dominating teams beginning to end, they're not going 25-4.
So what does it mean if they win? Nothing at all? I'm trying to put together a poll on this on Twitter. The Sabres are riding a 4-game win streak. The playoffs are not a realistic conversation.
No.
But watching them finish strong, would that give you any sort of, okay...
Money Puck has them a 1.4% chance to make the playoffs this morning.
Right, 1.4%. Okay, they're not as far away as I thought they were. They had a really rough season. Things went poorly. They lost 13 in a row. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm working here at 6 a.m., and I'm working. Is there any lasting belief to come out of any of this? Whether that's Yuri Kulik or, if Cousins came back and looked good again, you might have that.
Sure.
There's a weird thing that they do. You want to know what else the Sabres do? They win without Tage Thompson.
Yeah.
They did that earlier.
They've done that a few times.
Yeah. They went on a 3-game West Coast trip and won all the games without him.
Yeah.
And they won again without him last night.
They don't win without Dahlin. That's the 13-game losing streak occurred with a lot of that. Dahlin was out.
That's right.
But they have won without Thompson, which I would not have guessed last night because he has been by far their best offensive player. Like, not even close. Like, you got a guy with an open shot on this team right now, and the only one that I am consistently seeing score that goal is Thompson. Kulik's getting there. I'm surprised by that. You mentioned Cousins. Like, Cousins has gone 10 games without a goal now. You know? That's been happening for him. Isn't it happening because they've got some kids that are actually performing a little bit? Like, Kulik is number one on that list.
Yep.
But even, like, I don't know if you want to call Peterka that still, but Peterka, Benson, like, these guys, their advanced numbers look pretty good. That's kind of the furthest I'd really want to go with it, though. You know?
Yep.
Like, they've got some kids that are playing, especially Kulik. Kulik's able to play number one center for them right now. Which is incredible that he has to.
It might say something, yes.
But he is being asked to play it, and he's not doing a bad job at all.
Is that not much different than Zach Benson? Like, Benson made the team. And on one hand, he's fine. He fits in. On the other, like, I probably shouldn't make your team that early, right away. There are going to be plenty of organizations where that guy's not making the team, but here he is and he can play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good comparison.
It's a good bad.
Yeah. Like, because again, like, there are good signs from the kid there, but then Benson is perfect for this. Benson's mind is still so impressive to me how he is a second ahead of everybody else on the ice. But you see why on a lot of other organizations he might not be in the NHL yet, which is strength and speed. He's just not there. He gets dunked onto the ice pretty easily.
He got thrown down pretty hard last night.
He gets thrown down last night. He does fall a lot. Like, he's not you go look up the NHL edge stats and, like, 20-mile-per-hour speed bursts or guys like average time. Like, he is one of the slowest players in the National Hockey League right now.
No.
Benson is. And again, that's not like to say he's never going to be an amazing player. And he is, I think, an effective player right now. But that, I think, would hold a lot of other teams back from putting him right up there, and the Sabres have basically had to, I think, put him up there in the NHL. So that's a little bit of Kulik. Kulik at least got, Paul's mentioned it, didn't he play 100 games down in Rochester? Like, he got a lot growing down there, even maybe a good amount. So, maybe it was time for him, no matter what. But was it time for him to be the number one center? I wouldn't have ever gone that far. But they won.
Yeah, they won. And at this point,
they're defensemen. Isn't that the answer? They've got two, like, Dahlin and Byram are legitimately great, both of them. Byram had some mistakes last night, but those two, I'm at the game with my dad last night, and like a couple of times last night, we are saying to ourselves, when they're out there, they're both defensemen. They are the most dangerous players on the ice.
Yeah.
Like, they are more offensively gifted than all three of the forwards that they are out there with almost all the time.
I had a thought last night about that, about having those three, including Power. It's kind of like a football thought where we would talk about you shouldn't take running backs because of positional value or guards or this or that. And I'm not here to tell you defensemen are not important. But it's part of the reason the Sabres are stuck where they are because all the places they've been given the best pieces are there instead of a forward. If they instead of two number one picks at defensemen in Dahlin and Power, I've kind of asked this question before, had two number one picks that were forwards, would they be a better team? Would you be able to slot in other guys, find other ways? There's just not the return on it as a defenseman. I'm not saying yes, but it's a thought I had last night. Just kind of thinking, so much is talked about how strong they are back there, their strengths back there, and yet every season we can say they're good and the team's not.
Right.
Aren't you supposed to dominate 30 minutes of a game?
Right. Like, this isn't even to say that this isn't meant to be a criticism of Dahlin. Dahlin is, I think, one of the 10 best defensemen in hockey. And when he's playing at his best, he might be the best all-around defenseman in hockey. But if I were to say that they had won the lottery that was Jack Hughes instead of Rasmus Dahlin, would they be a better team right now?
Probably. Or Power. I mean,
what do you want? You want a top 10 defenseman in the league, or do you want a top 10 center who puts up 100 points? What's more valuable for your team? Part of that is also what you have on the roster right now.
And how you play, I know.
But part of it is showing, they kind of showed, like, you can't really. I mean, Pettersson maybe came close to this if he was going to get traded, and I don't think he is now. But they kind of proved they could go out and get a guy that is Dahlin light. They traded Middlestat for Byram. You know, if Byram had to be this team's number one defenseman, or even number two, I guess he is the number two, but if he had to be the number one defenseman playing top power play minutes, like how bad do we really think that would go? He's like fifth in the league in even strength points.
Yep.
He'd probably be on like a 60, 70 point pace playing 24 minutes a night. We'd probably be thinking that's going perfectly fine. So you can go out and attain something like that on the blue line more easily than going out and getting a Jack Hughes. Those guys become available once every 5 years if you're lucky, and you've got to beat out 30 teams to win a bidding war. So, yeah, there is a point about positional value here. If instead of Owen Power, they had got, the won the lottery that was Connor Bedard, is that even an argument?
Oh, no, it's
Bedard's not even hit his stride yet, I would say. And is that even close?
But Power or Macklin Celebrini.
Sure, there you go.
Go for that if you want.
Right. To me, the center is it. And I like Kulik a lot. I don't know if I'm just thrusting upon him, oh, yeah, this guy's your number one center now of the future. When you're building out this team long term right now, one saving grace I always used to have when we were in the middle of the drought was you got the two hardest things to find. You've got your number one defenseman, but more than that, you've got your number one center. You've got a franchise center when you had Eichel at the time.
Right.
And there were a few years here where Thompson was playing primarily center, and I kind of felt comfort in that. But now he's playing the wing, and I guess you could just as easily move him back to center, but I am very much wondering what the future looks like for this team at their most important position.
Wouldn't you bet right now that Cousins is traded this offseason, if not by the deadline?
Yeah, there's just a lot of smoke, isn't there?
There is. Now
every day there's a report.
There's reporting that Calgary wants Cousins or is interested in Cousins.
Pierre LeBrun said 2/3 of the league he thinks is called on Cousins.
Okay, well, here's the thing: you could talk about selling low or not liking the offers, but if 2/3 of the league is calling, then someone's going to offer you something you got to like.
And you would think, right? If there's a market.
The problem
there's a bidding war, then maybe there's a bidding. I don't want to call it a war, a battle. I don't know.
The problem, and if I could say this is a problem with trading Cousins, is the salary cap, because the Sabres will need to be to the floors, right? As this cap goes up and up and up, and in 3 years the floor is about $90 million. They have a guy who has signed and said, "Yes, I will play for you," and finding those guys. I don't know. It might be tough. Maybe Jason Zucker, though, is a lesson for Kevin Adams in how to operate going forward. When Zucker signed, the reaction was, he's a good player, but he's not a $5 million player. I don't know about that. It's a little steep. And what did the Sabres get out of it? They got a guy that's been totally good. Fine. Are you paying $1 million over what you think he's worth, or I don't know, $2 million? I don't know exactly the market value for Zucker was, but the reaction was the Sabres paid a little too much. You're going to have to pay a little too much for everybody. And maybe... Yeah. 4 signings this offseason, they're paying a little too much, will give you results rather than signing guys for, your $1 million, $1.5 million fourth liners that are just disposable pieces. Anyway, Hey, it's 4 wins. And if you're going to these games and you're getting wins when you go there, I feel happy for you. It's not the same as the tank era. It's just, living here. We are 10 years removed from the tank.
It really is. Yeah, we're going to start coming up on 10-year anniversaries of, the Jonathan Toews game and the Cam Atkinson game and...
The Toews game.
Those the two? Is there another one?
No.
Of course, the Oates game.
There are 3 games.
The Oates game, the Toews game, and the Atkinson game.
Okay,
right?
then there are 4 games. Atkinson was just the one locked it in. Yeah. The big games...
Big moment, though.
People remember the Toews game.
Yes.
There's the broken stick game against the Islanders. You don't remember that one? Where the puck hit a broken stick on the ice and gave the Islanders a wide open net to shoot into. Yeah.
I do not remember that.
Yeah. Broken stick goes in the goes in the
rafters.
Find that. There's the Dallas game. Don't forget the Dallas game. Dallas, they're leading in the third period, and they lose in regulation in about the final 6 minutes. It's a lot like the Toews game. They lost a game in Dallas like that. And, of course, the Coyotes game. So... those are the ones I remember most.
Honorable mention, I do remember when they lost 7-0 against Minnesota, and I turned you and Howard on the next morning, and it was just screaming. Maybe even you were screaming.
It was.
Who thought the tank was supposed to look good?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're supposed to fit. They're supposed to be
right. They're getting smoked by Minnesota. Right. I wish they lost by 2.
Right. People call it supposed to look better.
They lost by 2 instead of 7.
Yeah. The good old days. And of course, the other thing from the tank here is when I went to the game with Bulldog and he wanted to punch me in the face when I cheered for a Tampa goal. That's my memory of those years. 10 years ago. We're still close.
Me and my brother went to the Coyotes game with bags on our head, but the bag, like the face on the bag had a smiley face. Like we were happy.
That's good.
With the bags on our face.
Well, Lindy Ruff coming up at 8 o'clock today. We moved him from his normal Tuesday spot. He'll join us coming up at 8 o'clock. Among the things we can ask him, the Sabres, it's going to sound a little more snarky than I want it to, but it's reality. The Sabres finally got their message straight about the Thompson hit. After the game,
they did do that.
It was... One guy says it can't happen. I didn't see it, this and that. The coach says one thing. Zucker says our revenge was getting the win. Lindy says there's another time. And what happened? Players meeting, it's not going to happen again. And they start the game. And Lindy said, by the way, that he did not send Dennis Gilbert out to do that and that he didn't know that was going to happen, but that Gilbert kind of took it upon himself. So say what you will about that. That's the Sabres putting their players out on the ice. Gilbert's the guy, and he decides, I'm going to fight a guy right away. And the guy he fought was is a pretty tough customer.
Yeah, so. Olivier, one of the toughest guys in the league.
Yeah.
I'm glad they showed over the course of the day and the week. I think that the leaders were all on the same page at the end of the day. Like Zucker can say what he wants. He's on a 1-year contract, and I would predict that he's getting dealt at the deadline. He's been great, but if you look at what Dahlin said in the moment. He said, that can't happen again, right? Tuck, now that's the next day or it's 2 days later, says basically the same thing. Yep. That can't happen again. Cousins said, I wish I was out there. And, there are guys that wish they were out there. And that's kind of a, I don't think he meant it this way. It's kind of a backhand. It's a backhand at some of the guys that were out there. There were a few of us that wish we were out there.
Yep.
When the guys that were out there didn't do, what you wanted. So I'm glad that happened. I don't know. Am I being a jerk for just wanting to eye roll at the Gilbert fight off the face-off? Okay,
you're not.
Who, I guess who was it for? Tuck talked after the game like it really meant a lot for the group. Luukkonen gave him they do the leather jacket player of the game at the end, and they gave it to Gilbert. So I don't want to poo-poo their party on it. If they thought it was meaningful for them, then good. I hope they didn't think that was for everybody else, though.
No,
for
that's
everybody
right.
to show the league that, hey, guys, no, we're tough. It was, to me, the second he dropped the gloves, I'm like, this is Gaustad fighting Lucic the week after Miller.
Yes, flat circle.
The exact same thing. Okay, you're doing it for the show here.
Right, the difference, of course, being when Gaustad fought Miller, Gaustad was a major piece of that team. A part of the core of that team.
Right.
And Dennis Gilbert, has played 100 NHL games and is often a scratch on this roster. He's kind of a guy.
I don't question Dennis Gilbert. By the way, Gaustad was on the ice when Lucic happened.
That's right.
Gilbert was not. I have no question about whether Dennis Gilbert would have stood up for Tage Thompson in that moment. I'm wondering about Owen Power, Matthias Samuelsson, and the other guys that were on the ice.
Right. To me, the message that Gilbert sends is when the Sabres are being questioned like that, like they are by everybody in the entire hockey world, there are going to be guys in that room that resent that questioning and think maybe as a team there's some pieces missing, but I'm not missing on that. I would have done it. I would have been there. And Gilbert, I guess, in that moment is saying, I'll go fight a really tough dude to show I'm not afraid of getting punched in the face.
Right.
To me, that's a lot of what that is for Gilbert. And for the Sabres getting their message straight, on Zucker, his whole thing, we got revenge, we got the win. I thought from the start, we talked about this a little bit, Chad DiDomenicis was on with us yesterday of ExpectedBuffalo.com. I thought what Zucker was doing was being a veteran and trying to protect the kids in the room and trying to protect the players that didn't want to fight or didn't want to do anything about it. Because Zucker's a guy that has done it in the past. He says he didn't see it. That's fine. Some players did. And for nothing to happen, I thought Zucker went in the locker room, thought about it for a minute, and said, well, I can lean on this as a deflection. Had they lost the game, they lose all sorts of cover for that. Instead, they go on to win. They hold on to win. So, right. I don't think anybody thinks the Sabres are tougher because of this, but I think I could respect Gilbert and some of the players that would think, if we never actually do anything to come together, this will never stop.
Right.
and Gilbert takes a step and says, "I'll do something."
It's to their credit. Like, and I would want to defend a lot. Like Tuck has stood up for teammates. Cousins has done it. Dahlin has done it. Thompson's done it. Like a lot of their. Not even just like the Gilberts and the Malensteins of the world. Like a lot of their core guys, I wouldn't want to put Sunday on.
Yeah.
But so to me, every day that's passed, it becomes more of an individual thing. It becomes more about Samuelsson. And to a lesser extent about Power. Like I think he's such a good player, but I guess I am starting to wonder. How good of a player can you be in the NHL if you don't have a single mean bone in your body? You know? Like, I've watched Power play for 4 years now. I've watched him on podcasts. I don't want to judge him too much on how he talks, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a fire burning in that guy. But he's such a smart player, and he's so talented that he does still make an impact. But it's just, has it ever been more evident? There's not like a raging fire inside that guy.
Well, if there is, it's just not burning on the burner you want it to burn. It's
sure.
He works hard, he's competitive, he's good, but for no reason at all, the name that popped in my head to try to make a football comparison was like Kirk Cousins. Like he plays the position and he can be serviceable, but if you want something edgier or better, I mean, Cousins not a great example. It's just a guy that is limited in some capacity.
Yeah.
I think what you're kind of getting at is, can my core and my team identity...
Kawhi Leonard is a good comparison. Okay. Who's the guy, never says anything, never looks like he's on the floor, like, never mad,
won a
never
title.
Fired up. Right, but he's just great.
Yep.
Yeah, and he did win a title. So,
Can your core and can your identity be one that includes a guy like that? It sounds like the question you kind of want to ask.
Yeah.
Or would I say, thanks, what can I spin off for this guy? 803-0550 to join us. You can join us on the phones. You can join us on the chat anywhere, on YouTube, where we are, Twitch as well. Jeremy and Joe, happy Wednesday. Lindy coming up at 8, and plenty more to get to. How about the Bills player? There's a Bills player that tweeted he wished he were on the ice.
Yep.
Get to that next. Jeremy White here for Atwell Eye Care. They're online at atwelleye.com. When it comes to your vision, especially if you're someone dealing with cataracts right now, natural part of the aging process, don't worry. Atwell Eye Care has you covered. Customized cataract surgery options that fit your lifestyle. So here's your chance to get the answers you need. Register now for Atwell Eye Care's free, no pressure, no obligation lunch and learn. It's going to be this Friday at Ilio DiPaolo's restaurant at 12 noon. Meet Dr. A.J. Girongal. Ask all your questions. Find out how cataract surgery can help you see the 716 more clearly. Stop procrastinating and register now at atwelleye.com for Fridays, 12 noon, lunch and learn at Ilio DiPaolo's restaurant, and enjoy free lunch as you learn about cataracts and all your options. Register now at atwelleye.com. That's atwelleye.com, and get ready to fall in love with the way you see the world. Atwell Eye Care, the official eye care provider of the Buffalo Bills, and the eye care I trust for my family. This is
The Bills and Micah Hyde making it official yesterday. He is retiring from the NFL after 11 seasons. Many with the Bills, of course, a couple at the beginning with the Green Bay Packers. Twice named a second-team All-Pro with the Bills, also named to the Pro Bowl, of course. Had been with the Bills since 2017. Micah Hyde's career unsurprisingly, is over. Sabres win last night. They get a 3-2 win over Columbus. 2 goals by Alex Tuch, both on redirections in the second period, gave the Sabres the lead. They did not give it up. James Reimer stood tall throughout the game, and that's a 4th straight win for the Sabres, the first time they've done that in over 2 years. One more game before the 2-week Four Nations break. Saturday, the Sabres will be in Nashville for an 8 o'clock puck drop. See if Tage Thompson's able to play by then. He did not play last night after getting hit in the head on Sunday against the Devils. Alex Ovechkin scores an empty netter yesterday with 0.1 seconds on the clock, just beat the buzzer, meaning he's now 17 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's goal record as he continues to try to break the record this season. Elsewhere in the NFL, Kirk Cousins says he'd still like to be a starter in the NFL. That is a week after the Falcons GM said they'd be comfortable with Cousins being their backup quarterback next season. Travis Kelce says that he's got a lot of football left in him. No indication that he's going to retire after this Super Bowl on Sunday. And Alec Lewis of The Athletic reports that Sam Darnold could be interested in the Raiders quarterback position. He is scheduled to be a free agent next month. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet Sports headlines. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
They're set to go. Razors down
Get
between
ready,
the
Dan.
benches.
Get ready here.
You're going to get called in.
Get ready.
Take
Here we
a
go.
look. Here we go. Starting lineup is out, and they're dropping the gloves right off the bat. Gilbert
And
for the
Olivier.
Sabres and Matthew Olivier. And you had a sense when you looked at the starting lineup tonight. Olivier with some right hands, short jabs. Just shy of center ice. Olivier coming over top so far, and Gilbert just trying to keep his distance for now. And now they start to trade, and down they go.
Dan Dunleavy on the call. One of the moments of the game, the opening puck drop. Dennis Gilbert with a bit of a dust up there. Moments of the game brought to you by Firth Jewelers. For the moments in your life, go forth to Firth. Jeremy and Joe, good Wednesday morning. Plenty of Super Bowl chatter to get to today. Lindy Ruff coming up at 8 o'clock. Get your phone calls in on the Sabres if you want it. As they've got a 4-game win streak. They're first in, well, a long time. 2 years for a 4-game win streak.
The Super Bowl, huh? That's happening this week?
The Super Bowl is happening. I've got a fun question about that.
I have no idea what I'm doing for the Super Bowl. No idea.
Here's what I'm doing for it.
I don't think I'm taking up any of my buddies that are like doing like something completely different, but
my plans for the Super Bowl are to get mad. I just know it's going to happen. I'm just going to get mad about sports. I got mad about something yesterday about the Super Bowl. We get these emails, like, hey, here are 89 different prop bets for Taylor Swift. What drink will she have? That's not the one that made me mad.
okay.
What drink will she have? What color will she wear? Will she hug Donna Kelsey? Sure, great, fine.
Will Travis Kelce propose? That's on the field after the game. There's a bet you can make.
I'll give you guys a quick opportunity to take a guess before we get to a call here. What prop bet do you think would make me seethingly, furiously mad? What's the prop bet I saw? I took a picture of it so I could tweet it out and get mad about it again. What prop bet did I get mad about?
You would get mad at the color of Tom Brady's tie as a bet.
No, that's not correct. Come on, think a little harder. Play the game. What?
Ooh,
Gene's territory.
over under. Yeah, over under. Is it Gene though? Who's got the? It's Fox. So who is that? Is it Terry Fontenot or something?
It's Mike Pereira.
Mike Pereira. Like over under 6.5 Mike Pereira appearances in the game.
The
something
bet
like that.
is how many replay review predictions will Mike Pereira get correct?
Oh, get correct?
Yes.
Not even just do. How many will he get correct? What's the over under that? Like 2?
0.5.
You could emotional hedge this. You could,
One.
Wait, one?
So you're saying if he gets one, you cash the over?
I feel like I should bet my house on it.
What did
Come on, there's going to be 1,000 times they talk to him. He's going to get one of them right.
But is he one of these guys that like doesn't really give you like, it's a close one. I don't know. I might go with this, but I could see if they go the other way. What do they do then?
Does that
count as him getting it right?
This is the ruination of our sport, of our sports world. It's not Taylor Swift on your television. It's Mike Pereira on your television. Over under, how many replay review predictions will Mike Pereira get correct? I almost punched my phone in the face when I saw that.
You should bet it. Bet the under.
Over. I don't want to root against him. If he's on the screen, he better make me money. I'll find a way to make me even madder. Come on, Mike. It's clear as day.
You imagine like everyone
He's
riding
down,
on this that bet. Like he comes down the screen like, oh, here we go. This is it. It's like a big play in the game. Mike Pereira coming on the broadcast.
Yeah. All right. 803-0550 to join us.
You want to give him a real easy one.
Most of them are.
Hey,
most of the time they just tell you what your eyes see. Yeah, guys, I see a knee down there. Thanks, Gene.
Just to cash the over, though, like guy gets the first down by 4 yards, like for no reason. Oh, Mike, you thought that was a first down? It's like, yeah. Bam, cash the over. Yeah. Mike Pereira.
The officials addressed the idea of a conspiracy and put out a statement on it.
A lengthy one.
Which is the kind of thing that officials that were in on a conspiracy would do, is all I'm saying. No, of course, I do not think there is one. We'll read you that statement. It is kind of funny. On the Sabres, though, Paul in Buffalo has chimed in. Hey, Paul, good morning.
Good morning, guys. And let's give Denny Gilbert his due. Not only did he fight arguably the toughest guy in the NHL, he set up Alex Tuck for Tucky's first goal with a Darlene, a McDavid-like pass. That was something special. So that was, I'll call that the Denny Gilbert game, even though Tuck was the best player in the game. I have to, I love where you guys started the show because we need to know who Bowen Byram is. Every single player who plays with Rasmus Dahlin looks good. Their numbers look good. They become analytical darlings. I could put a forward with Rasmus Dahlin and he's going to look good. It's because Rasmus Dahlin is great. He does every little thing well. He is the toughest board battler on this team by a country mile. He will outwork anyone on the boards. Now, Benson works as hard, but doesn't have nearly the physical body Dahlin does. But I need to know what Bowen Byram does, because when I ran the numbers, and it was only through 43 games, so 10 games ago, Byram was averaging a minute 21 of power play time in a game, and he had only accounted for 3 power play goals in that time. Like Owen Power gets a little more power play time, and he hasn't had any production on it either. So I need to know if either one of these two can quarterback a power play. I need to know if either one of them can hold down a pair. And I honestly don't know that about Byram yet. I assume he can, but everybody looks good when they're partnered with Rasmus Dahlin. I could take any one of our forwards and partner them with Rasmus Dahlin, and they would look good. So I need to get Byram partnered with Connor Clifton, I think. I want to see Joka Harju partner with Dahlin, and I want to see Denny Gilbert with Owen Power. And I need to see what I have with Power and Byram, and I need to make a decision on them in the offseason, because I can't have all 3 of those guys, and I wouldn't trade Dahlin for, maybe 5 players in the league I would trade Dahlin for.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great show.
Thanks, Paul. I think it's a great point. Like, you're at a point in the season, you find out what you've got. And especially with Byram, who is about to be a guy that commands how much money. And they don't play him on the power play, so get an idea of what he can do for you there.
Yep.
Do it for 10 games. And even that's a small sample size, but you'd get something to find out how you like it there. And, right, if you want to mix pair, how much can you be the main driver of a pair? All that. I think it all makes sense, especially where they're in the standings, even though 2 points are really important.
His numbers are dramatically different, as you might expect, but they are dramatically different with and without Dahlin this year. Just for instance, his expected goals for percentage with Dahlin this year, anything above 50 is pretty good. He's 53.6 with Dahlin. He's 39.9 without him this year. That's an insane gulf. I don't know who those minutes are being played with, but he did play with Power, though, for a stretch early on. And if you look at his ice time, he doesn't play power play at all. So I would agree with Paul. Like, I kind of think Byram would be good on the power play, but he really has not done it in his entire career. And that's... I guess that's a part of the equation because you don't know. So, sure, let me see what he looks like away from an elite defenseman, because I need to look to make sure he played with him a lot. But I feel like he also played with Makar a ton in Colorado. which would have obviously mean he went from one elite defenseman to another elite defenseman as his partner, yeah, a lot of guys probably would look good in that.
Right.
But just there are plays that he makes. I mean, the shot last night, again, like there are times where I feel like he's their most talented offensive player on the ice. That shot from the slot, that's not really in his wheelhouse. The puck hits a leg and it bounces back to him. It's kind of on his opposite foot from what he wants it to be. He kind of digs it out of his feet and gets enough on the shot that he gets it by the goaltender. Like that's a guy that's got traits. So, right, maybe he's not Dahlin, but I still like the player, even though, sure, his numbers look better when he's playing with the other guy that's really good.
803-0550. The Kent Johnson goal is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Holy cow. The old Gerby, right? The Nathan Gerby goal.
That can't be who we're assigning that goal to, is it?
Does somebody else
I guess
have
it felt like the last important goal the Sabres have ever scored.
And that's not maybe not wrong. That's the Gerby.
I think Kane's done that a few times.
Show me Kane doing it.
For here,
You
yeah.
pull it up. I want you to search two things. The Nathan Gerby goal and the Patrick Kane goal.
And you're telling me the Gerby one?
I'm just saying, it's a Gerby goal. Quickly before the break, I teased which Bills player wishes they could have defended Tage Thompson. It might not surprise you. It's Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown retweeted a highlight of the Thompson hit, and his comment was, does anybody have any skates I can borrow? So, confirmed, Spencer Brown would have smashed somebody's face in on the ice after Tage got hit.
Yep.
Jerry and Kenmore before the break. Hey, Jerry.
Quickly on Myles Garrett. By the way, on the conspiracy thing, you wouldn't need but 17 guys, one on each crew involved. So don't give us that math and pretend like it's real. To influence a game, you need one person involved. On the Myles Garrett thing, think about who's the player that really cost us both of these games against the Chiefs the last 2 years. It was Chris Jones, and we'd be getting that. He, on the tush push, him destroying Torrance and McGovern and blowing all those bodies into that area is what was the difference on that play. The him depositing Dawkins into the lap of Allen last year when Shakir was open was the difference in that game potentially. I don't know how you can't go get him if you can.
I have no doubt that they will pursue it and see if they can make it happen. Our guest yesterday from Cleveland, if you missed it, Josh Phelps, who's the post-game host and on 92.3 The Fan, he kind of put water on the fire and basically sounded like the Browns don't have to trade him, which is true. I'm not sure if they will or not. We've got lots of time to get to Garrett. I don't think it makes total sense for the Bills to want him. If the price is insane, who will pay it? Commanders are going to be a popular name here because they have draft capital and cap space. Mm-hmm. I'm into it. I'm into a lot of ideas. What really maybe the next step in talking about Garrett is, what's your other idea for finding a top 5 player at the position? Let's hear it. Because that's what they need. They need elite players around Josh Allen. They've got a very, very good team. And one elite guy is something they could probably use. And that's why Garrett is so appealing, because I think there's a universal idea that the Bills are a great team and they need Chris Jones. You mentioned he's a top 10 player in the NFL. And the Bills don't have guys on that list high enough up. It's Allen, it's Dawkins, and that's the list. At least how they're viewed in the NFL's eyes. 803-0550, our phone number, and 1-888-550-2550. Jeremy and Joe on a Wednesday, give us a ring. On Garrett, Josh has got a stat of the day, he said, for us when we get back, so hang in there. Jeremy White here to tell you about Eddie, Roswell Park, and Eddie. Are you or a loved one, a current or former smoker? Are you concerned about your lung health? It's time you met Eddie, Roswell Park's mobile screening unit that's bringing life-saving lung screenings to communities across Western New York. It's easy to find out where it's going to be. Is Eddie going to be? It's a mobile unit. Is it going to be near me? Go to roswellpark.org/Eddie and find out. This week it's on Ferry Street in Buffalo, True Bethel Baptist Church. Next week's going to be on Hurdle Avenue, Fireman's Park in Blaisdell later in the month. So the mobile unit comes to you, and you can meet with Roswell Park's lung screening team and tour Eddie, also where you see out in the community. Learn more or schedule a screening today at roswellpark.org/Eddie. That's roswellpark.org/Eddie to find out where it's going to be and make sure you're taking care of your lung health and get screened with the help of Roswell Park and their mobile screening unit, Eddie. Go to roswellpark.org/Eddie.
All right, so I got you guys a baseball stat of the day for today.
All right.
It made its rounds on Twitter yesterday, and it's pretty incredible. So you all know Ted Williams, right? Famous baseball player who also fought in World War II and played baseball at the same time.
Fun fact about Ted Williams, my first ever book report, maybe 5th grade, I read a book, Ted Williams' biography, and wrote a book report on Ted Williams.
Did you include the part about how his head is frozen somewhere right now?
That was not true when I was in 5th grade, I don't think.
That isn't.
It is now.
The head frozen thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the stat, but
it's too bad.
So Ted Williams missed 3 seasons during World War II, 1943, 44, and 45. He has played more games between the entirety of for the duration of World War II than Anthony Rendon has played on his Angels contract. Anthony Rendon signed a $245 million contract that's 5 years long. He has played 257 games. While missing 3 seasons, Ted Williams played 300 games, also having 2 All-Star appearances, 1 MVP, 1 batting title, and 1 Triple Crown. He has better stats in all of his seasons during World War II than Anthony Rendon has in his 5 seasons with the Angels, making $245 million.
Somebody who's mad at Anthony Rendon came up with that stat.
I would agree.
Right?
Or an Angels fan. Is that the only fan in sports that's more disappointed than a Sabre fan?
I don't think there's anybody more disappointed than a
Because you have a
Sabres fan.
drought while also having like the best players in your sport.
Yeah. Let me see if I had a stat of the day to throw in as well. I do have one. Here's one. It's about the Chiefs, kind of. Doug Clawson, CBS Sports. Best quarterback records without a title since 1970. Win percentage for quarterbacks since 1970. Number 1, Lamar Jackson, 745 win percentage when he plays. Jalen Hurts, 697. Josh Allen, 691. The 3 of them are 0-6 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has officially... we should give him a new nickname. He's the fun police.
The fun police.
Patrick Mahomes is the fun police.
I like it.
Look at all these Baltimore, Philly, Buffalo fans. Could be having fun.
Yeah.
But the fun police is here again. Let's see if the fun police wins a 3rd straight title on Sunday.
Grim Reaper is his number 1 nickname on Pro Football Reference.
No one calls him the Grim Reaper.
It's the first listed one, I'm just telling you.
More people will call him the fun police by the end of the day than have ever called him the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper?
Never happened. It's never happened.
You don't think it'll happen on the broadcast on Sunday?
Not for a single second.
Not one time?
Not one single second.
Not the Musician, which is also one of his
No
nicknames?
one's ever called him that either.
Showtime?
Maybe.
Magic Man?
Yes.
The Gunslinger?
No.
Homeboy?
Yes.
But not Grim Reaper?
Never. There you go. I've ruled on all the nicknames. Jeremy and Joe, 8030550. On the Sabres and, the Myles Garrett idea and pursuing an elite player. Anybody else got another idea? It's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR.
Jed Studios. Entered best results. Happy clients. Call Jed now. 839-3939 or call Jed.com.
Jeremy White here for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of WGR. Super Bowl 59, 1 game, 2 teams, and lots of possibilities, and no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who gets a catch on a drive, takes home the MVP, the coin toss, prop bets, all that good stuff, it's FanDuel Sportsbook for the Super Bowl. And with live betting all game long, you can jump into the action, adjust your bets, ride the wave of excitement from kickoff to the final whistle. Make the Super Bowl even sweeter. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you make your first bet. Place a $5 bet. If you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/white and bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Sports Update.
Sabres get their fourth win in a row, 3-2 over Columbus last night. 2 goals by Alex Tuch led the way. Dennis Gilbert with a great assist on one of those, also had a fight at the beginning of the game. Sabres win against the Blue Jackets. They are now 11 points out of a playoff spot. They gained 1 on the night. Tampa now is in that final playoff position. Next up is Nashville on Saturday. That'll be the Sabres' final game before a 2-week break. The league will be off for the Four Nations tournament, where of the Sabres players, Rasmus Dahlin, Henri Jokiharju, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen will be taking part for Sweden and Finland. To football, it's Super Bowl week, and a lot of players are on Radio Row. Kirk Cousins saying yesterday he still wants to be a starter in the NFL and that his future with the Falcons is uncertain. Their GM, Terry Fontenot, said last week they would be comfortable having Cousins as their backup next season, but Cousins sounded less optimistic about that idea. Travis Kelce says he has a lot of football left in him when asked about possibly retiring, so it doesn't sound like that is on the way. The Rams, to facilitate a trade for Cooper Kupp, according to Ian Rappaport, are willing to take salary back in the trade to make a deal work for a team and Kupp. Joe Milton of the Patriots, the quarterback who played against the Bills in the regular season finale, is available. Kind of available. Greg Bernard of Boston Sports reports that the Patriots are at least contemplating trading Milton this offseason to a team that wants him. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
If it can work under the cap, I would be all about it, because pick number 30, I mean, that is a roll of the dice on if pick number 30 is going to be an impact or not. And you have no way of knowing who's going to be there. The defensive end group could be wiped out by pick 30 because of how good those players are this year and how many needs there are at, I would say, maybe the second most important position in all of football. Yeah, if you can make it work money-wise, I would be all over Myles Garrett. To have the best defensive player in football with Superman at quarterback, that's a pretty great way to do it on both sides.
That is Matt Miller, NFL Draft Scout on Twitter, at NFL Draft Scout Matt Miller, on with One Bills Live. Good morning, Jeremy and Joe. It's going to be a wintry mess tomorrow, apparently, on the way to work. So out there today, it's icy. Everything rained and melted and then refroze. It's really icy out there. But,
yeah.
You know, winter. That's how it goes.
Tomorrow's going to be worse.
Yeah, I think so. So you can give us a call on the Sabres' 4th straight win and all that comes with that, if you'd like. We talked about that quite a bit earlier today, and Dennis Gilbert got in a fight right off the bat. The Sabres had a team meeting. We're going to talk with Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff coming up at 8 o'clock this morning on all that. So if you want to chime in on that, you're more than welcome to. You can also give us a call on Myles Garrett. We've just dabbled there a little bit this morning, have some more. One question I have for you is, and anybody else have an answer to this, what do you want to happen on Sunday in the game? If you're not watching, you can't take it, blah, 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 fine. But when you turn it on, what do you want to happen? Because I have an answer for this. And maybe the rest of you do. You have something you want to happen because it will, whatever, confirm your narrative. Or you'll just watch Mahomes be bad, if that's what you want. I have a thing that I really want to happen in this game.
And it's not just the Eagles blowing them out?
No.
Because that would be the simplest answer, I would think.
That you want? Because
I want that?
You have to use your Bills brain here. If the Eagles blow the Chiefs out, does that make the Bills look worse? Hey,
sure,
you're not as good as you thought you were. I feel like Bills fans and a lot of fans will do this. I want to see a certain result because of what it will say about my team. Mm-hmm. I'll just give you mine, and you let me know if I'm insane.
Okay.
I want the Eagles to hold the Chiefs in check offensively, and I don't care who wins the game.
And you don't care who wins the game?
Not really. That part doesn't matter.
I don't want to hear about the Chiefs three-peat for the rest of my life.
We're going to hear about them next year when they're in the Super Bowl anyway.
But the three-peat part of it, like sure. that'll graduate beyond even where they're at now.
I'm sure I'll root for the Eagles as the game goes along. The number one thing I want to happen is for a defense to hold Kansas City in check to a degree, because I want more attention paid to the fact that the Bills do not do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if Myles Garrett is the answer, because that's the best answer you've got, okay. Yeah. But it's not, to me, we're still, how many days after they lost that game, and their tone about I would take it in 17's hands at the end of the game every single time glosses over just how bad their defense is against the Chiefs. And if another team, like Houston was not terrible defensively against the Chiefs, and if the Eagles win this game 23-20, and Mahomes doesn't light them up, that to me that's another mark that says, come on, you have to expect to be better. I think there's an expectation, and I've had this as well, Joe, where you think, well, there's nothing you can do against them to stop them. And other teams are finding ways to keep them in check.
Yeah.
Not always beat them, but at least keep them in check. So I'm going to this game, 27-17 Eagles would be amazing.
Do you think the Bills need to learn that, though? Or, like, maybe people just need to learn that? Like, because the Bills, I don't know. Do they talk like they know that this is true, that they're the worst? Do they talk like it's the Chiefs? What everyone in the league is chasing them? Like what are you going to do? Throw your hands up. This happens to everybody, because the way they're losing to the Chiefs does not happen to everybody.
No, that's right. The Chiefs score more against the Bills than everybody else. The Chiefs have more success against the Bills than everybody else.
But I also want to be fair to them. I don't know they've ever been asked the question that way.
Right.
Like, it's more about the general, it's about the feelings of it, it's about, like, the Chiefs in general, more than it is. Like, have they got the question, hey, how come you're the worst? What explains that?
No. At McDermott's end-of-season press conference, it was a lot of about what they have to do to get over the hump and how he said, why did the offense not come through on those final drives? Meanwhile, you got the ball back with a chance to get a stop and didn't get stops there either.
That's what I mean. I'd like to hear what behind closed doors, of course, too, would be more important, because that's going to determine their actions more. But how do they feel they're losing to this team?
Not even just this team. Include the Bengals. We have the numbers. In their 5 playoff defeats, 40 drives against or whatever, it's 22 touchdowns and 9 field goals.
Yeah.
On non-kneel-down drives. 40 drives, 31 scoring drives. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Other teams are not this bad in the playoffs. And if the Eagles are... If the Chiefs go out and score 50, I'm like, okay, well, maybe their offense was inevitable this year. But it wasn't inevitable last year, and, okay, you had an injury or two. It just feels like I'm still, a week later, Joe, sensitive to people wanting to blame Allen and the offense for not coming through on that final drive when their defense was a disaster for most of the game and has been for 5 playoff losses.
And I'm still sensitive to the idea that they would take... They feel like they did their job as a defense with Allen with the ball down 3 with 3.5 minutes to go. Like, hey, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Mission accomplished on our end. Now your turn. And I know he can win that game and he should win that game. I just can't believe that can't be the standard to me. We had a successful day on offense or on defense if our quarterback gets the ball and he is losing with 3 minutes to go. In an offense which, by the way, is built to run the ball, screens, yak plays, they are not built. It wasn't tested very often this year. They're not really built, though they weren't last year, built for the 3-minute drive where it's pass, down the field, tight coverage, I got to throw it, because we're desperate here. They're not really built to play that way. And maybe they will be next year. I don't know. Maybe they'll have T. Higgins on their team, or maybe they'll have some second-round rookie who's going to explode. Maybe they'll be better off in a spot like that. I just think their standard on defense needs to be higher against the Chiefs.
Well, maybe they'll have Myles Garrett. I don't think they'll have Cooper Kupp. I don't know.
That's insane.
I've seen them linked to Cooper Kupp on articles more than Myles Garrett.
And they're in the odds. They're high up for Kupp. They're the second leading favorite in the betting odds.
It really just doesn't make any sense.
And that's just whoever's deciding to set the betting odds, put them number 2, and I'll pile that dude on top with Michael Fabiano and all these others that are national media writing about. Oh, the Bills need a receiver. Do people know there's different receiver positions? I know some, Matt Harmon knows, right? There are those that know, Ben Solak, there are those that study the league that know the difference. But, how many people in media, or how many people that cover football just don't even know the difference between an outside and an inside wide receiver? Because I feel like we're seeing a few of those.
Yeah, well,
Cup makes no sense for the Bills.
I think he makes no sense for the Bills. I saw one potential landing spot for Cup, which I thought did make sense, and that's Cincinnati. Like, they're going to lose Higgins and Chase on the outside, and Cooper Kupp could eat, and that works. That's Zach Taylor, who comes from the Sean McVay tree.
Yep.
So Cincinnati might make some sense there, and of course they had Tyler Boyd forever.
I like that one.
And Jermaine Burton, by the way, who's the rookie in Cincinnati, like, he's not even going to be on the team next year.
Yeah,
it's gone really bad.
I think that's why he went in the third round, wasn't it? It's because he's kind of a head case.
Yes, tons of talent and a head case.
Yeah, anyone connecting Kupp and the Bills.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
The reason why is if you've watched his career and you look at the numbers, where he lines up, where he's productive from, he is productive from the slot. And he's amazing at it. He has been incredible at it. But that is primarily where he is at his best. So if you are to get him on the Buffalo Bills,
he's running screens for you. Like if I see Kupp in this offense, he's running screens.
Right. Like, one of two things is really happening though. One, he's playing mostly out of position, playing on the outside, winning against press coverage on the boundary, or he is playing in the slot, and you're now taking Khalil Shakir off the field.
Yeah.
And I might want to argue at this point Khalil Shakir is a better football player than Cooper Kupp. It at least would be close, I think.
Maybe.
Kupp isn't the same player he once was.
No, and one thing that happened to Kupp, of course, is like he got the number one target in that offense is Puka Nacua. That's who the Bills really need, is Puka Nacua.
Yeah, his body's broken down a lot, too. He's had a ton of injuries.
Kupp.
So that's why it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is why, like, a little bit of the way that Ladd McConkey last year was described in the draft, like, kind of, like, I don't ever focus on him and Keon Coleman. Like, oh, the Bills drafted Keon Coleman. Wish I had Ladd McConkey, who had 1,000 yards and like 8 touchdowns and was definitely had a better rookie season than Keon Coleman, right? Like, not even close. But why haven't you heard that mentioned one time about, I wish the Bills had Ladd McConkey? Because Ladd McConkey plays the exact same role that Khalil Shakir does.
He plays it really well.
You already have it.
McConkey does get used down the field a bit more. But yeah.
A little bit more, right. So that to me, like, just more perspective on that would be nice. Of not every receiver is the right type of receiver for what your team needs. And this would be one of those where, like, okay, the Bills need a wide receiver. Oh, Cooper Kupp's a wide receiver. No, it's not that simple.
Just redundant. It strikes me as redundant. I mean, if he's on the team for cheap, I mean, I'm not saying he's like going to make you worse, but redundancy. They need something else. They need a different kind of guy.
I mean, if another type of receiver of his caliber came available that was, like, is DK Metcalf going to jar loose? Like, Adam Schefter tweeted at the deadline that he's not getting moved today, and everyone's like, he was, okay. What? Why'd you do that?
Well,
was he available? Did we not know about it? Like, there's some Metcalf, There's been Metcalf smoke in the past.
Metcalf is one I would think about a lot. The thing about Metcalf, though, is do I want Metcalf and Keon Coleman? Maybe the style of Joe Brady's offense calls for that. He's obviously very fast. He is not limited to one route. Like Metcalf, there's one of the knocks on him coming into the league was, well, is he just a guy that runs past people? And the answer to that is not really. He does a bunch. He would give them over-the-top pop. He would give them contested catch. He would give them
separation when he's going over the top, too.
Yes.
Like running behind guys rather than, like, it has to be a jump ball.
Yep. So it's
he needs to be paid, though.
Right.
28 years old. He's got 1 year left, so you're going to have to pay him big time.
Is he... He's not an elite do-everything receiver. Is he elite at what he does in that job? Because the Garrett conversation ties into all these people that like the idea of Cooper Kupp are remembering him at one point being one of, like, the top 3 most productive receivers in football. And this offseason is not going to be about get 10 kids in the draft and sign some cagey free agents.
Yep.
What the Bills have to be doing is making a run for it. I like to occasionally make fantasy football comparisons, as ridiculous as they sound. But if you're a team that made the playoffs last year and the reason you lost is because the guy on the other side had Jamar Chase, like, you got to go trade some of your good players and get a guy that can drop 50 in the championship. That's kind of what the Bills need is, hey, we've got, a bunch of pretty nice players, but would you rather
in fantasy, you have a lot of guys that score 12, right, and you could use a guy that could potentially score 40.
Right, because if he scores 40 and then you're filling 2 roster spots. Anyway, the Bills have a lot of good players, but the offseason is going to be about the blue chipper. The coach said it. The GM has referenced these guys, whether it's Chris Jones or Jamar Chase. Like, they got to find a blue chipper.
And that's where Garrett is almost feels like he has to be the number one idea. Or he has to be somebody they're willing to pay the price on, because even like I just mentioned Metcalf. Metcalf is not reportedly available right now, but maybe he does. He's in a contract year. There's been stuff in the past. He's very good. He's very good. If he became available today, like that would be. I like the idea that he's a wide receiver. He is not as good as what he does as Myles Garrett is. He is not the top 5 wide receiver in the league. He's very good, but is he even blue chipper? Like, he's great at what he does, but at his position, like, he's not someone that's out here rattling off first team all pros. So, and again, that's part of the point though to me is you could have some really good players become available this offseason. What are the odds any of them are as good as what they do is what Myles Garrett is? Like, I think almost impossible. Who would it have to be? I mean, a receiver would have to be a Justin Jefferson or Malik Neighbors or like that. That's
honestly,
it's not happening.
It would have been last year. It would have been Ayuk. Would have been the caliber. I mean, he's the number one separator in football. Ayuk when he's healthy. Of course, now he's coming off.
Even that one though, I would be like, I don't think he's the Myles Garrett of wide receivers.
Yep.
Is there a safety? Like, who would that be?
Javon Holland is the best safety out there.
Okay,
free agent.
And he's good. He's very good. Corner, like Sauce Gardner, like that. Those are the comparisons at other positions to what Myles Garrett is at his. So that's why, like, if you want a blue chipper, this is the dude. I would be floored if another player shook loose and became available this offseason that is as good as his position as Garrett is at his. I just don't think it's possible.
No, you want someone as good at their position as Garrett. You want Josh Allen.
Right, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, right. 803-0550 on Garrett, on all of it. I don't know if he'll.
What is the receiver move?
If he'll get moved, the receiver with a big receiver market.
What's their move going to end up being? Receiver? They're going to add one.
Let's explore this because the last couple years have been defined by receivers that were about to get paid getting moved. Right? Look at all the receivers that got moved. It's Devontae Adams. It's Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
And on. We've got big name receivers where a team didn't want to pay and they moved on. And every time a receiver gets a contract, it's, wow, is the receiver market finally going to blow up? Is there a guy that is in line for a big extension and his team doesn't want to give it to him? This is where you say Metcalf might fit that bill. I can't imagine the Bills will spend – I shouldn't say I can't imagine. Are they going to spend big at receiver? Aren't they going to pour almost everything they've got into their defense?
I think so.
Almost everything. And there's one specific role on the outside. It is not easy to get a true number one, like a Diggs level, does mostly everything receiver. I think they're going to want a speed specialist. Do they want Marvin Mims? Is that really what they want? Somebody that can win with speed over the top?
I think that's what they need. I think that's the thing they don't have, right? And Mims is actually maybe good for this because what's most likely, if I agree that I think most of their assets go to the defense, the money, the high-end picks. So what is that receiver move? Is that it could, by the way, just be they bring Cooper back, like on a one-year deal. Isn't it probably most likely that it's like a third-round guy?
Yes.
Is the guy. Like, they're going to spend like a third-round pick on a receiver, and we're going to be like intrigued. Like, maybe that could be something. Their third-round, Terry McLaurin was a third-round pick. It can happen where the guy is great. But it's going to be Mims. It'll be Marvin Mims. Like, oh, fun player. Let's see what he's got. More than it's going to be anybody that's like really established. Isn't that probably what's going to end up happening?
Yes, I think so.
The guys that are going into, like, you tell all of these are too big of names, I think, right? Like, the names of receivers, now that they're available in free agency, the guys that are going into contract years. So the ones you might think, hey, if their team doesn't want to pay them, then maybe they're available for trade. Metcalf, who we just mentioned, Terry McLaurin, although they're already talking like they want to do that now. They're not letting him go. Cortland Sutton is going into a contract year. Tyler Lockett is going into a contract year. Garrett Wilson, although he'll be an RFA. George Pickens, he's going into a contract year. I don't know if they're going to want to pay him, but do you want that?
I don't want George Pickens.
Romeo Doubs is going into a contract year. Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Christian Kirk.
Friends with Josh.
That's your guy.
I
right?
actually texted you once we should put
think you did.
Christian Kirk on the bet board. Christian Kirk. But isn't he...
Contract year. They just paid Gabe Davis.
Right.
And they have Brian Thomas Jr. Actually, wait a minute. That's going to happen, isn't it?
Christian Kirk?
They drafted Brian Thomas Jr. He was incredible, and they just paid Gabe Davis. They're not paying Christian Kirk, are they?
I think he's on the move. Coming off an injury.
This is why I didn't want to bet you on this. And he's really good friends with Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean, they play golf together.
Golf trips. I've seen wedding pictures of them together, like
Christian
people's
Kirk,
weddings.
Christian Kirk put the odds up on the board. Christian Kirk does not.
That's their receiver move
No.
of the offseason?
No. Because
That'd be too big? What? He could play. Is he outside?
he doesn't beat man coverage. No. He's more. Yeah, he just doesn't beat man or beat press. And they need somebody that does that.
Okay. But he's friends with Josh.
He's friends with Josh.
That'll get
you a long way. That'll get you a long way. That'll get you, a backup quarterback job. That'll get you,
Jacoby Myers, by the way, is another one on here. Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. Those are RFA guys. These are the other names.
Olave and the injuries, that's a gamble. He's great.
And then Chase.
Like Chris Olave.
But I mean, Jamar Chase is not.
Chris Olave of the Saints is the probably best receiver that does not produce results because of his quarterback and his injuries. But Olave's a separator. That's a guy that if he ever got out of there and got with a pair to the premium quarterback, the Diggs thing would happen where, hey, this guy looks like he's pretty good. Can he pop off? He might have to get out of New Orleans. The Saints don't yet have a coach.
Well, it's going to
be Kellen Moore.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless Kellen Moore backstabs them at the end here and I don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
I want to stay here in Philadelphia.
Toby in Buffalo before the break. Hey, Toby.
Yeah, real quick. Everything you guys explained to me was Xavier Worthy. Like, he's fast, whatever. But the thing is, we passed on him. So I don't really understand. That was a perfect fit for our offense to bring it to the next level, and we didn't do it. So I'm kind of confused because the only guy coming out in the draft now is a kid from Texas. He's fast, but he's going to be a second or third rounder.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Worthy is exactly the perfect thing. There's also something to be said about Worthy, which is, one, when he got drafted, he was the speed guy, and over the course of the season, the Chiefs, made him look like a little bit more than that. Xavier Worthy, Super Bowl MVP, funny or bad? Would it be funny?
It would be funny in a bad way, right? In an evil sort of sense. If he were to be the Super Bowl MVP, it would be someone would tweet out. I'm not even saying I would do this. I probably wouldn't. Someone would tweet out him winning Super Bowl MVP next to Ryan O'Reilly winning the Conn Smythe.
Probably.
That would probably happen.
Worthy.
Where's he on the odds?
By the way,
they're probably not that bad.
I was going to say, kind of kidding. It's going to be Mahomes, probably. Maybe Barkley, maybe Hurts. There is a pathway for a receiver to do it like Worthy because he gets handoffs. Imagine he goes 6 for 85 and a touchdown and also runs for 37 yards and a touchdown because he gets those sweeps, whatever.
Yeah.
They're just saying. It's tough for a receiver to get an MVP without the quarterback getting it instead. But a receiver that gets handoffs has an avenue.
Handoffs, and if he gets a short pass that takes it to the house, that'll be notable.
I would just bet Mahomes.
He's the third leading Chief.
Behind Mahomes and Kelsey?
Behind Mahomes and Kelsey. Ahead of Chris Jones.
I mean, a defensive player is just not winning MVP.
It goes Mahomes is the favorite, then Barkley, then Hurts, then Kelsey, then Worthy, then A.J. Brown. How about that? He's the favorite amongst all the receivers.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith right after that.
803-0550 to join us. Just thought of that could be a good instant trivia.
Maybe a George Karlaftis plus 10,000 Super Bowl MVP. We can't bet on these things, though.
No, in New York State, you can't bet on MVPs?
No. They don't consider it a sports event.
By the way, does the NFL MVP come out tomorrow?
Tomorrow's the NFL honors.
Brace yourself.
I've braced myself for a month now. Ever since Lamar won first team All-Pro, I've resigned myself to thinking Allen's not winning.
Hey,
tomorrow at 9:00, by the way.
Chris Jones says Josh Allen's his MVP.
Yeah, how about that?
Not Mahomes.
Wouldn't you think any Chief just would snicker at the idea that it's not Mahomes? I don't know.
He said it should be Josh.
There's kind of a love affair between Chris Jones and the Bills, quietly. Bean's talking about how much he loves him and how good he is. Him and Dawkins are crying and hugging on the field at the end of the AFC Championship. He always is defending the Bills' wings here. Like fighting people from Miami about what's going on there?
He's 30 years old, Chris Jones. By the way, speaking of
What's
which,
with the bro fest,
just
though? Like,
real quick,
does you want to play here? What do we want?
just real fast on this. Chris Jones, dominating games. Amazing, incredible. I was about to ask you if you want to put it on the bet board. He plays for the Bills. I'm like, oh, he's 30. Wow, he's still doing it. Meanwhile, Myles Garrett's 29. People are like, oh, that guy's busted. It's too old.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I want to get to a thought, not now, but at some point. The Chiefs, some of the Chiefs are really bad at being villains.
I don't agree with that at all.
Some of them. Jones is on the list.
Okay, maybe.
You're on my list. You need to do a better job of being a villain.
Maybe him. He's the only one.
Him and the coach.
No, the coach is a villain.
Andy Reid?
Yes.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
2 weeks ago, he said, we'll probably be underdogs.
Yeah, but he's got a mustache.
And he's got a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Whatever. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Jeremy White here for Wayland Brewing. Looking for a great place to go on a Wednesday? Wayland's got lots of options for you. Mondays, kids eat free. We've been there on Mondays. It's a great time. Wednesdays, there are specials as well at Wayland. You get $10 wings, $15 pizza on Mondays, live music on the weekends, cornhole, be outside in their beautiful patio with the fire pits. Lots going on always at Wayland Brewing, 3740 North Buffalo Street. The place is massive. It's awesome inside. It's awesome outside. It's just one of the best spots we've got. And when it comes to Wayland, you can take yourself there, just, have a seat at the bar, or bring the family. It's a great atmosphere for that. Go to the beer shop. Bigger events, whether it's 200 guests or 20 for a private beer tasting or an intimate dinner, Wayland's going to have lots of options for you. Great food, great beer, and a great space. Up to 220 guests in their Wayland Hall. And if you're booking midweek, 75 guests or more, Wednesdays or Thursdays, April through July, a $0 room fee. That could be showers, bridal shower, baby shower, anything like that. Graduation would be a lot of fun. They've got spaces for everybody. Visit Wayland Brewing and find your way to great beer.
Sabres win last night. 4-game win streak after beating the Blue Jackets 3-2. Now 11 points back of a playoff spot, still in last place in the East. One more game in this week. They'll play at 8 o'clock on Saturday in Nashville, and then a 2-week break for the Sabres as there is the couple of week break in the NHL for the Four Nations tournament that'll be happening in Boston and Montreal. To football. It is Super Bowl week. Micah Hyde and the Bills officially announcing his retirement yesterday after 11 seasons in the NFL, most of which with the Bills, a few with Green Bay at the beginning as well. Two-time second-team All-Pro for the Bills, also Pro Bowls, of course. Micah Hyde in the NFL is over. Kirk Cousins says that he still wants to be a starter in the NFL. It's a week after his GM in Atlanta said they'd like to have him back as the backup next season. And Travis Kelce says, got a lot of football left in me. No indication that he's going to retire after this Super Bowl on Sunday. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Kick off 2025 with the new Chevy from Paddock.
Blue Jackets volley right back. Here's Danforth. He's got a man. Aston Reese inside. 2 saves by Reimer. And it's cleared outside the zone.
One of the first moments of the game. For the moments in your life, go Firth to Firth. Brought to you by Firth Jewelers. Dan Dunleavy on the call. The Sabres' 4th consecutive win.
Do we remember their last 4-game win streak that was 2 years ago? Wasn't there a Bruins New Year's Eve game? That wouldn't be this though, I think.
I mean, the years blend together, so that was the year where they were good.
That's what I mean. Like,
okay.
So that stands out a little bit.
Yeah, right. When they had 90 points and missed the playoffs by a point, basically. 2 points. Okay. I don't remember a 4-game win streak. I do remember that season being kind of fun. You know what I remember from that season? The most memorable part of that season was Levi showing up late and them leaning on him in every game.
And he almost got them.
He almost got him there. Yeah, almost. Good morning, Jeremy and Joe, 803-0550. The Sabres win their 4th in a row. You can give us a call on that. Tracking Myles Garrett a little bit. I've asked what people want out of the Super Bowl. Like, what are you looking for Sunday? And the number of people responding they're not going to watch, I don't know if I believe it. I probably do. But one funny thing would be, what about a terrible television rating?
I'd love to see that.
Would you like that?
I really would love some numbers behind Chiefs fatigue. Like confirmation. I guess one of my pet peeves right now is because I think you can yell about the officiating stuff. I just don't think you should yell about it being rigged. Because if the ratings are bad, I mean that's confirmation it's not rigged.
Right.
Like right. I've been trying to say this for a while. Like whenever a buddy asks me about it, like I don't think it's rigged. I don't think the NFL wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't they be ringing it for somebody else? We'll see if the ratings reflect that. I too have had a lot of people tell me they are not watching this game, and it's same. It's a little believe it when I see it. And is that just here? Is that going to be in other places?
We're a little close to too close to the situation.
Is Baltimore going to boycott the Super Bowl? You know, even if it's not everybody, 20%, whatever the number is, that makes a dent. 20% of people that would normally watch that aren't is bad for the NFL. So. I wonder how far it extends. I've seen stuff about like other cities being willing to do it, other teams' fan bases. Like I'm just not watching anymore. So I don't know. Like you also want to show up to watch the villain lose, right? Like the New England Super Bowls, I think always did fine ratings wise. I always watch those games. Why? Because I'm rooting against the Patriots. Like it was easy to root against the Patriots, and. We might disagree on this. I think that you compare those two, one of those two is much more hateable than the other. Because I do think Andy Reid is likable. I do think Chris Jones is kind of likable. I won't go there with Mahomes and Kelsey. And the Patriots were just like, they were good at it, right? Like Belichick was good at being a villain, just being the way he was. And Brady, same thing. Like these guys were good at, they also cheated multiple times, which helped. Right? Mm-hmm. So there was, I don't know, the New England, maybe it was easier to root against New England for a lot of people than it is against the Chiefs. The Chiefs is just kind of boring at this point.
It's very boring to me. Travis Kelce, meanwhile, you were talking about how the Chiefs are not very good at being villains. He described jambalaya as pooey.
Oh, well, see, now they're...
He's talked trash about New Orleans.
Wait, that's the exact adjective that he used?
Yes. On his podcast,
Pooey.
Travis Kelce called jambalaya pooey.
I mean, everybody's a jambalaya guy.
I
don't think I've ever met somebody that didn't like it. I've met people that haven't had it.
Sure, right. I feel like more people have not had jambalaya than have.
And not liked it.
I wouldn't even know about that. Could I tell the difference between... the answer to this is no. I'm going to have to look it up. What's the difference between jambalaya and gumbo?
Oh, I could not tell you. Not for a second. If I were to order at a restaurant, if we had gone to New Orleans and I had ordered jambalaya at a restaurant and just by accident they put gumbo in front of me, there's no way I would have known.
They're not that far apart. A quick check of this. It's just in how the rice is prepared. That's the only difference.
Gumbo is essentially a stew or soup served over separately cooked with rice, while jambalaya has the rice cooked directly into it.
That's in it.
That's it? That's the only difference?
That feels like that's defensible that we did not know the difference. You put the plate in front of me, and there's all the stuff in the rice.
Does that mean the jambalaya, like, it soaks up all the liquid into the rice?
Looking at the two plates next to each other, they look very different.
Because the gumbo to me then sounds more like a soup, and the jambalaya maybe isn't.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Jambalaya is like a paella, and gumbo is like stew.
Okay.
What's a paella?
Exactly.
So in that way, they do actually maybe it's only one subtle difference cooking-wise, but that feels like I would get a very different thing put in front of me.
It's basically like an NFL offense with two different coordinators. Like one guy has a vision of it this way, same ingredients. Yeah. It's the best I've got for you.
I don't know that I've had both then.
When I was in New Orleans, so New Orleans was my bachelor party was in New Orleans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good time.
Yeah, and you went there for the Syracuse national championship.
It's the only time I'd ever been was for my bachelor party.
Okay.
And
Sal went to New Orleans for the Syracuse national championship.
I regret not going.
Okay. But you were there for your bachelor party?
Yep.
And was that what people were eating on the bachelor party? Was gumbo and jambalaya?
Probably.
Because to me, bachelor party, just give me a pizza. That's all I need.
Well, the meal I remember having was a morning chicken and waffles, which was incredible.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Cooking with gas with that.
Yes.
All right.
Morning New Orleans, Bourbon Street.
Oh.
Chicken and waffles was where it was at.
Okay.
Also went on one of those fan boat tours where you get on the boat in the bayou and it whips around over the reeds.
Yeah.
Highest recommendation.
Really?
If you can do one of those, that's fun. And on those tours, what the guys on our boat did, they jumped in the water and swam with alligators and fed them marshmallows.
That's insane.
Yes, that was...
I would not do that.
Yeah, like this, it's one thing when the gators come up to the boat and you're like, oh, cool. And then the guy jumps in the water with a gator.
Are they like real boats or are they more like pads that you're on?
It's like a pad. It sits on top of the water. I mean, I mentioned it sits in it a little, but you are way up.
Okay.
It's like...
Because in my head, the way it sounds is like, wait, there's gators in the water and you're on a pad in the water. Like, wouldn't it just be very easy for them to just climb on top of it?
No. These fan boats are kind of like how you envision a hovercraft on the water, sitting up on top. And they're pushed by just blowing air, and there's so little resistance in the actual water. They glide on top of the water. Really cool. Like 12 of us on that boat, and you have to wear headgear, like headphones, because the fan is so loud. But you are whizzing through the water because, again, there's very little drag, or that might not be the right word, but whatever. Fun.
It's like it's floating on top of the water.
Yeah. The other
That's
thing
like how the jet boats are here.
Yeah.
It feels like they're not even really on the water. They're like shooting across the top of it.
The other thing I remember from being down there was on the way out, like driving to where the jet boats were how many houses are on stilts, basically, or built up off of the ground because of flooding, presumably, and like how wet it could get.
Yeah.
A lot of houses in the country that were up on stilts. Not quite stilts, but you know what I'm trying to say.
You're making me disappointed that we're not there right now.
It's a fun place. It's not only that, in terms of the atmosphere there, you Bourbon Street, you walk into a bar, right? You know how it works. You go into a bar, walk in the door, you're going to go on a bar crawl. Okay.
Yep.
You go in one door, here's the bar. Then there's another door.
Uh-huh.
And that's a different kind of bar back there.
Yeah.
That's what yeah.
Okay.
Not every bar, but several bars and several places on.
There's multiple bars that are different types, kind of.
Yeah.
Or different vibes, really, that are going on.
Vibe. You could say vibe. I'm saying that's a different bar back there.
Okay.
This first one, you can get a drink. You go through that second door. Yeah. That's a different place.
Okay. Okay. That sounds more different than even like Nashville is that a little bit where you go to different floors
and
it's different bars and there's different music, but you still feel like you're in the same place.
Correct. This is not about a different musical act in that second bar.
Okay.
It's a different kind of
the atmosphere is different. Too.
Sure. Yes. Quite a different atmosphere.
All right.
You'll just accidentally find your way into the kind of place that you didn't think you were going to go to is what I'm trying to say. In so many words.
You think you just teleported to another place?
Andrew in Rochester before the break. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for getting me on. Love your show. Well, I actually picked up work during the Super Bowl. I'm a guy who's never missed a Sunday. I never miss a Super Bowl, but I just don't think I could stand myself if I spent 5 hours to watch the Chiefs win a third in a row. And at this point, I might as well work. And if they lose, great. I'll be really excited. And it's not a moral protest. I'm not calling anything rigged. It's just if I had the chance to do something productive, maybe get some time off in the middle of the week to spend time with my kids, you know what? I'll do that instead, and works out. But again, it's not a moral protest. It's just I can't spend 5 hours to watch them lose. I'd be disgusted.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I mean, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to dedicate 5 hours, and in the final 3 minutes of it, the Eagles will do something brain dead, and they'll lose. And it'll be a three-peat, and we'll have to say, is Mahomes the playoff GOAT now? And we'll all have to say yes and bring on the offseason, I guess.
My struggle is I don't really think I want to watch the game. I almost feel like maybe I should skip it. I feel like the only reason I'm watching the game is because that's what you do. It's the Super Bowl.
Right.
You don't skip the Super Bowl. You watch the Super Bowl. But if I take away the fact that it is the Super Bowl and just, hey,
the
on
Chiefs
Sunday,
are playing again.
Do you want to watch the Kansas City Chiefs play the Philadelphia Eagles?
No.
No, I don't want to watch that.
Right. Yeah.
Who's doing halftime?
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, I'm back in. I'm into that.
803-0550 to join us. Jeremy and Joe, Lindy Ruff, top of the hour here on WGR. Jeremy White here for FanDuel Sportsbook. Speaking of that Super Bowl, how about the Kick of Destiny? You could do that at 3 o'clock. You don't have to watch the full 5 hours. It happens during pregame. And the Kick of Destiny is back. Every Manning for himself. 2 legends take the field in a sudden death field goal showdown. Peyton versus Eli, live from New Orleans. 1 kick to claim ultimate family bragging rights. Who will rise to the moment? Pick your winner now in the FanDuel app. And if you back the right brother, you'll earn a share of $10 million in bonus bets. It's the FanDuel Kick of Destiny 3. Make your free pick. And don't forget to tune in to watch the showdown live during the Super Bowl 59 pregame show on Fox at 3 Eastern. May the best Manning win. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/white and bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First, no purchase necessary. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Hey, be caller 5 to win a pair of tickets to the Outlaw Music Fest. I did the thing again. There we go.
Turn down the radio.
Turn on your radio. Outlaw Music Fest featuring Bob Dylan, Turnpike Troubadours, Red Clay Straws, and Waylon Payne on Friday, August 8th at Darien Lake. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
There's a poll up at WGR 550 right now on Twitter. Are you planning to skip the Super Bowl?
Okay.
75% right now are saying yes.
Get out of here.
And one of those people is Howard Simon, who says that him and his wife are thinking of going to a movie.
Oh, thinking of going to a movie.
Thinking of going to a movie.
Is there a movie worth seeing right now?
Is Howard going to see like Nosferatu instead of watching Chiefs and Eagles right now? I don't really think there is one. There's like a Mark Wahlberg action movie right now. Sonic 3, that's what they're going to see, I bet. Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Obviously.
And Moana 2.
Okay.
There's also a live-action Mufasa movie.
That I know about.
Nothing that's like, setting the world on fire, I don't think.
803-0550, our number.
You don't believe the 75%?
No, of course not.
You think they're just saying it to say it?
75% say they're not going to watch it?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's down to 67 now.
Listen,
you think they're lying? You think half of them are lying?
Bottom line is this. If the Super Bowl gets a terrible television rating, which it'll still get an amazing rating, but if it's down a lot, then the Chiefs' conspiracies die.
Yeah.
They die. It's over.
Yep. 100%. Right, the league will hate the fact that they were in it.
I think they should already hate the fact that they're in it. I mean, I saw it again yesterday. Someone wrote an article in The Athletic. Why people aren't appreciating greatness. How many times is it going to take for people that don't care about who wins to understand that those of us that do care about who wins care about that?
Mm-hmm.
How could you not appreciate them? Oh, my God. It's relentless. Not only is it they're boring and it's annoying, it's something's wrong with you if you don't like them enough. Okay, sorry, Chiefs. Sorry. Anyway, Lindy Ruff, when we get back, you can give us a call, 803-0550. Sabres win their fourth in a row and, addressed the Tage Thompson hit as a team. And we'll get Lindy's thoughts on all that. The meeting to address it, the win last night, 4 wins in a row, and how things are going. So Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff on the other side here on WGR. Jeremy White here for Riverfront Auto Sales, 1379 Niagara Street in Buffalo. You know what time it is? It is tax refund time, and this year Riverfront has got a deal that's too good to miss. Take Riverfront Auto Sales, your tax refund this month, bring it in, and they'll double the amount of a check up to $2,000. So a $500 refund check gets you $1,000 towards a vehicle, and $1,000 gets you $2,000 towards a new vehicle with Riverfront Auto Sales. Get that new set of wheels, and it's more affordable than ever with the help of Riverfront Auto Sales. They're about making sure you get the best deal every time. Riverfront Family Dealership wants to help you make your dollar go farther. So get the tax refund dollar to Riverfront. Riverfront guarantees financing for everyone. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. They'll get you approved. So take your tax refund to Riverfront and double the value towards a vehicle purchase. Must mention offer. Cannot be combined with other discount. For more details, visit riverfrontautosales.com. Call 886-1626 or stop by Riverfront today.
Sabres on a 4-game win streak with a win yesterday over the Blue Jackets by a 3-2 score. 2 goals by Alex Tuch led the way. James Reimer in goal after Luukkonen was dealing with a minor injury and was a late scratch. Reimer plays well throughout the night. Sabres still, though, 11 points back of a playoff spot despite the win streak. They've got one more game before a 2-week break for the Four Nations tournament. That'll be on Saturday in Nashville at 8 o'clock. To football, Super Bowl week continues. No retirement coming for Travis Kelce. He got asked that question yesterday. Kirk Cousins says he still wants to be a starter in the league, and that's after the Falcons GM said that they would be comfortable with Cousins being their backup quarterback next year. Cousins does not sound us into that idea. Khalil Mack, reportedly, according to Daniel Popper of The Athletic, would strongly be considering the Chargers as the team in the driver's seat for Mack as he will test free agency, and he is very open to returning to L.A. Bills and Micah Hyde making it official yesterday. Hyde is retiring from the NFL after 11 seasons, was on the Bills practice squad this past year, was never activated. He retires with 2 second-team All-Pro nominees for the Bills, Pro Bowl as well. Hyde is retiring. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Get to Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff in a moment. Sabres have a 4-game win streak. First one in 2 years. 4-game win streak. And just about heading to that Four Nations break. So could be going in on a high note. Their next few games, it's worth mentioning, Joe, if you want to play this game real quick. They are not. They're facing a soft part of the schedule. Up next is Nashville. Bad.
Right.
The Rangers, decent, but having a rough year.
Yeah.
Then it's Ducks.
Not good.
Not good at all. Hurricanes, forget that one.
They're good.
Montreal, San Jose.
Okay.
Like 6 out of 7 are some, whatever, beatable opponents.
We're talking about teams at the bottom of the standings. Or near them, bottom of the standings.
Then it goes Tampa, Florida, Edmonton. But whatever. Bottom of the standings after the break. The break, of course, will go from February 8th to 22nd for the Four Nations. And that'll be interesting to watch. I wonder how into that we will get.
Canada, we'll see. Mitch Marner dealing with an injury, and now Crosby got hurt yesterday, too. And they're both, obviously would be on Team Canada if they're healthy. So we'll see.
Lindy Ruff, Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff joining us on the Western Hotline. Lindy, good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. Thanks for taking some time today.
Yeah, morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
Pretty good. We'll start with the big news, good news. 4-game win streak, first one for the team in a couple of years. And I'd imagine a 4-game win streak's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the way we've ground through some of these games have been tight games. Last night was a tight game, and, we had some guys out. They had some guys out, but every team deals with adversity, from players being injured to whatever, and really there's nothing but winning a game that makes the difference.
You mentioned on Sunday, Lindy, after the game, that you think the group is getting better at grinding. Did you feel like last night was an example of that in the third period? I mean, the team was on their heels a lot in the third, but whether there was block shots or whatever, to get it home, I'm sure is a good feeling, because that has not always been the case this season.
Yeah, I think you look at, we dressed 11 forwards. We lose a forward in the game. We're down to 3. We're down to 3 lines. The third period, you have to be smart. The good teams don't give up high quality chances. They don't take penalties when you've got a couple goal lead. I think if you look at or break down the third period, we gave up with the one opportunity where they kind of went through the seam on the entry and got probably what I would say a B scoring chance, which was their only really good chance in the third period. So if you're asking your goalie, only to make 1 or 2 saves and don't take any penalties, your odds of winning a hockey game go way up. And I think we failed that test early in the year. I think we're starting to pass the test now.
Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff joining us. Lindy, of course, it's been tumultuous might be a little strong, but the last 48 hours from the Tage hit, your response in post-game, you were a little fired up, players met. Take us through the whole thing, if you can. I mean, after the game, there were a couple of different answers from different players, and then a meeting takes place to address that there would be a response next time. Was that a players' meeting? Was that driven by...
That was a meeting where we were all involved. And I said last night in the press conference, I have had 3 or 4 of these hard meetings. They come after where you don't play well, where we may be talking about the compete in the game, the lost battles in the game, the lack of discipline in the game where you take bad penalties. This was just another scenario where, we dealt with this. We talked about it. You go back to the start of the year when I don't even know what game somebody ran, whoever, and instantly Tuck dropped his gloves and fought the guy on what looked like a bad hit. Right response. We went through the scenario and we've moved on.
I wonder, Lindy, how Dahlin has been in recent days. He is one of the guys that post-game said that can't happen again. And he's obviously wearing the C, and he's been someone in the past that's played with fire, and he's stood up for teammates too. So I wonder what you've seen from him, even if it's not specifics, just him being a leader, first year as the captain, kind of how he has acted in a situation in meetings like this in recent days.
Yeah, I think it's probably hardest on your leaders, that type of situation. And what he said is true to the core. It just can't happen. And you can look at all types of scenarios where maybe a player didn't see the play. Referees are yelling accident. It was an accident. Anything. There's all kinds of things I've heard through the years when something like that happens. You err on the side that you gotta love your teammates. You can't judge what anybody else thinks, but you've got to react to that situation, and it can't happen.
Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff, you guys, as you say, you've moved on. So the meeting is not just about how what has happened can't happen again. It's obviously addressing it going forward in the future. And I guess what I would wonder, or what I would ask Lindy is, do you think it's about youth? Do you think it's about the type of team? Is it about telling the guys that maybe think that's not my job, that yes, in fact, that is your job in that spot?
No, I believe everybody knows. Everybody knows. You really should feel sick about the whole situation. This isn't about that's not my job. This is about loving your teammates and pack mentality, and it's not even about it. It's not even about fighting. It's about the core of what a team is. That you're there for your teammate. All 5 guys are there for your teammate. Sometimes it's all 6 guys are there for their teammate, and we've seen that in the past where a goalie gets involved. That's what it's about. It's about caring for each other in that 2.5 hour, 3 hour window where when stuff like that happens, the team comes first.
From last night's game, the opening face-off, hearing you in post-game say that was not pre-planned or anything by you or anybody else on the team. Gilbert going out and dropping the gloves right away. How much do you think that impacted the group on the night? Less so even than just hey, show the league type of thing. I wonder how important it was for the guys themselves.
Well, let's start with the previous game. I start Melanstein, Krebs, and Tuck. Mal had a big hit in the Devils game 15 seconds in on Mercer. A lot of times coaches look at who the other team starts. Like who did Buffalo start the previous game? And usually when, just the way I am, when we win, I start the same crew. I just kind of reward them for getting us off to a good start. So the plan was to start the same crew, but when I took a look at the lineup, I still had Krebs and Melenstein, but just changed the D. They put their hardest, toughest line out there, and I thought, maybe they were thinking that we're going to come out really aggressive. They're going to counter. Maybe they think they saw what happened last game. They're going to come after us. So that wasn't going to happen.
Two guys I wanted to ask you specifically about, but more in a general sense. Power and Samuelsson are on the ice on Sunday, but more than that, Lindy, like they've kind of been lightning rods, I would say, for a while. I think it's mostly because of their size. Like they're both big guys, and neither, maybe to different extents, are always looking to be, no one's Scott Stevens anymore, but like super intimidating with their size. Do you think either one of them, or in general, players like that need to be more physically aggressive to hit their peak, or do you think they could be who they are and still reach success in the league?
Well, I mean, we're talking about, we're talking about two players that have the same stature. I think we're talking about two players that play a different game. I think both players, to a man, know they needed to get in the previous game. They needed to get in. Owen Power plays a different game than Samuelsson. Samuelsson's game is he needs to be physical. He needs to end plays. And parts of that game, from the start of the year to him going out of the lineup, that was part of, you've got to be more physical. You got to end plays. His game has elevated, and it has been elevating. He's been, when I go through numbers and I go through ending plays and physicality down low, has been better. It's a process to get him there. If you look at Owen Power, his physicality down low, his game is a different game. His game is more of an offensive game. It's a transporting the puck up the ice type of game, and he's getting better at ending plays with physicality, which he works on every day. It is about, improving in the areas, improving in that physicality area, improving in the areas that will help us make a better team and make him a better player. And it is something that I can tell you that Owen Power works on every practice after practice. And this kid, he'll get better. He'll continue to get better.
Do you feel like on his side, just a follow-up on Power, because he is still only 22, I don't know, for you, like at that age, do you feel like size-wise, getting more physical, that there's still more growing for him to do just on his physicality, like just from a body standpoint, more so than even the mindset?
I do. I would liken it, maybe this is a bad example for you, but I would liken it to when I had Tyler Myers, when I started out. It took Tyler, it probably took him 3-4 years to the one point. I still remember when he told me after year 2, I still don't have my man strength. And a conversation like that just sticks with you. You look at a guy that was 6'7", you expect physicality, you expect he wasn't strong enough. Those first couple of years we worked on trying to get him stronger. Eat more, put on a few pounds, and not put on weight that doesn't help you, but get stronger to where you can end plays, and physically you can be a dominating guy when you need to get. And I think the league has these guys. You go back to, I'll use Wilson that I had here, the big defenseman, where you try to push these guys into that to help their game. So I can give you a couple of examples of young guys that some guys take longer. I wish it happened quicker. Some guys have it right from the start. Their build, their body their training has been exceptional to that point. And And that's where we have to get our guys to.
To Dennis Gilbert on that, you mentioned, Lindy, you put out there, you chose who you put out there because from what my read of it is, you said that's not going to happen again. You're going to make sure guys are out there that are not going to get run early in the game. So Gilbert goes out and takes matters into his own hands to send his own message. That's not something, you said it was not organized. So what was your chat with him after the fact?
I had no chat. I mean, I had a chat with Gibby pregame. I'll just share that with you. And we talked about, what could happen in the game, and then here's these physical players they have. But it wasn't about sending somebody out to fight.
Yeah.
How is you got to follow?
I just want to ask, you have that conversation with him, and here you are talking about the physical guys that they may have. And I feel like a Sabre fan that is seeing what happened in the last 24, 48 hours is flashing back to Miller and Lucic and probably asking themselves again, like, do the Sabres have enough players that just have that in them as opposed to being asked to bring it out of them?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something that has to come from within. That when you become a great team, it comes out of you. It comes out of players that, if you look at early in the year when Zucker, who is not a fighter, dropped his gloves and went at somebody, it comes out of you. It is about the group coming together, and it has to come out of you. Some of those guys that play the role sometimes is only a role because they're carried along because of their teammates.
Lindy Ruff with us on the Western Hotline. Lindy, by the way, how injury-wise, is there an update on Thompson after not playing last night?
Feels good. He's in a day-to-day category. We'll see where he's at today. I can just give you a quick rundown. UPL, same thing, day-to-day. Mm-hmm. Probably will not skate today. Samuelson will not skate today. That's probably as deep as I can go with anybody.
Okay.
Kozak has been sick. Kozak and Greenway both will practice with the team, so that's probably the positive news I got for you.
Is that Kozak being sick? We've talked about, man, how long have we had updates from you on like guys getting sick? Has it been a month? Like, is this the same thing that's still kind of running around the team, or is it different?
Exact same thing.
Wow.
A guy like Kozak has lost 7-8 pounds. He's down 7-8 pounds. And some guys recovered it like in 2 to 3 days. We've had a couple guys that it's been 6-7 days, but it's the exact same type of scenario with almost every player. So I actually trying to stay away from the players.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Although I need the weight loss.
This is the last time we'll speak to you until there's a break. Saturday, the final one before a 2-week stretch. Is that even maybe frustrating to you that the team's starting to get on a roll here, and we'll see what happens Saturday, but then it's 2 weeks off?
I kind of look at it two ways, a little bit, but at the same time, these guys that are banged up, all the guys we mentioned, it may have come at a good time to get all these guys back. So that, from Kozak to Greenway to Thompson to you name it, getting them all back. So I think you got to weigh where you're at. And by the fact we got one more game before the break, we have to go out and win that.
Will you be watching the Super Bowl?
I will,
all right.
For sure.
We got a lot of Bills fans.
A lot of Bills fans say they're skipping it.
They say they can't bring themselves to do it.
We'll see.
I can tell you who I'm cheering for.
Is it Philadelphia, I hope?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Lindy. Thanks very much, and congratulations on the win streak, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye now.
All right.
Thanks, Lindy.
Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff. What if he had said the Chiefs?
He wouldn't.
But then again,
he wouldn't.
Are there Bills fans rooting for the Chiefs because then it means, hey, you're still good, but you're stuck under the rule of this tyrant?
It's along the lines of we've had this discussion before. If no, I don't want anybody else to win it,
because as long as only he does. If Hurts gets a Super Bowl before Allen, I don't think that really.
I don't think people are worried about Hurts.
No, it's not the same.
People aren't worried about people. Like, for Lamar, I can see, I don't agree with it, but I can see where a Bills fan is coming from of, I don't want everyone telling me forever now that Lamar's better than Allen.
Right, and nobody is saying that about
And I can't say
Hurts.
anything because he's got a ring.
Right. Is that only Lamar and Burrow? Is it only those two? Because no one will say that about Hurts. I mean,
no one will say that about
He's
Hurts.
not better than Allen. It's not close.
No, it's going to be. I mean, they win on Sunday. It depends how it looks, but most outcomes where they win on Sunday, it's not about Hurts winning a Super Bowl. It's about running back is back,
which to me would be the wrong takeaway. But go for it.
But that would be the takeaway. Is there another? I mean, if Jaden Daniels had won as a rookie,
we're not mad at you.
I don't know that there's another. I think it's Burrow and Jackson. Yeah, it's Burrow and Jackson. Herbert, but Herbert's not.
He's done so little in that.
Herbert would have to build up to it. You know, like he'd have to go on a couple of long playoff runs and then win one. Like I don't think if he just.
Yep.
I don't know. He's super talented. If he won next year, before any of these other guys did, I mean, he could very quickly rise. You know, because he's got the numbers, and it would be again like if he won. I don't think this is going to happen. But if Justin Herbert won the Super Bowl next year, I think a lot of people would immediately put him on the same level or even above all these guys we're talking about. So him, but he feels so far from it.
8030550. If you have a thought on anything Lindy had to say there, interesting, right? The story about Tyler Myers. It's interesting Lindy referenced man strength because that's 100% what I would think about is, you could joke about that in your pickup leagues, old man strength. And the fact that Myers, he tells the story at 22 years old, says, I don't have my man strength yet. And that makes sense to me. That makes sense to, I think, a lot of people. Yeah. Doesn't mean you're not strong. It's just a different way to learn how to use your strength.
Right.
And the other thing for me, and this is taking something Lindy said, and this is my takeaway for probably a lot of Sabres fans that have been frustrated by how this team has been built for many years, which is we go through who the physical guys are in the Columbus. He talks about it with Dennis Gilbert. Mm-hmm. When the Columbus coach does that for the Sabres, who does he talk about? Dahlin?
Yeah.
And then who else? Other guys that won't see the ice?
Yeah, guys that play 9 to 12 minutes.
That's kind of why I got to. Do you feel like you have enough players that meet that mold?
It's a thought I've had about this team a lot recently, and I had it last night again. Like I don't want to again poo-poo what Gilbert did. Gilbert did the job, and he did what he's supposed to do. But this team's problems are not ever going to be answered by the guys that play 10 minutes a night. And that has been a theme multiple times throughout this drought. The best example that I'll continue to point to is after Miller got run by Lucic, they decided to go get tougher by getting John Scott, who played 2 shifts a night, and Steve Ott, who was a third liner. That's what they did. And so, again, I'm not judging what they are as a group and as a core based on what Dennis Gilbert does. Guy that's on a 1-year vet minimum contract who plays 10 minutes. Good for him, but that's not the Sabres to me. He's on the team, but that's not who I'm worried about. Right. That's not who I care about.
That response doesn't come from your team's DNA.
Right. Like when, Florida is an example of this on such a higher level because they had playoff success. But that's a team that after getting bullied around in postseasons time after time, when they decided we've got to change the DNA of the team, and get tougher and get more physical, they didn't add a fourth liner. They traded for a guy that plays at the top of the lineup
with their all-time leader in points or whatever?
Yeah, they traded their all-time scorer away to change the DNA of the group.
Yep.
And doing that on some lesser level, that is when you're really changing the DNA of your team, not when you're adding a guy who plays 8 minutes.
This is where the conversation will probably inevitably lead to Dylan Cousins. And the shame of it is, as Cousins came up, I feel like people thought he is this guy.
Yeah.
And he's not anymore.
Remember the Heritage Classic? Matthews cross-checks Dahlin in the neck. And what does Cousins do the next shift? He runs Matthews.
Yep.
And then he fights, Hyman or whoever? and gets tossed from the game. Like that was building towards being Dylan Cousins.
I can remember Cousins getting in a fight in Madison Square Garden against the Rangers because we had Paul on the next day, and he's like, this kid's ready. He's a future captain.
Right.
Like early on in his career, Cousins looked to be trending towards exactly the type of player that people are talking about and you're talking about. And I guess Kevin Adams has to decide if that ship has sailed here. Maybe he can rediscover it somewhere else. Can I send him somewhere and get something here? Because if it's never going to come, I mean, Lindy's here talking about it's got to come from within. It appeared to be within.
Yeah.
And now that tank is empty?
Yeah.
Cousins gets a lot of it because he doesn't. What does he do? He doesn't score.
I don't notice him on the ice anymore.
He really doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah, I don't notice him. He's not even that good defensively.
Yesterday, there was a play on the wall where he blasted a guy. He hit a guy pretty hard.
Go ahead.
And they went
JVR.
And they went after him a little bit, and it kind of just fizzled.
I think he wanted to drop the gloves. Do you know why it didn't happen?
Because
Van Riemsdyk is missing 4 teeth and his jaw's wired shut right now.
Right.
So I wonder if it's a different guy. Maybe something does happen there.
Right.
But I'm guessing. I don't know that. He has not. I still don't know with him if I want to target one fight last year. Could that really have done it?
It's tough to believe. I don't know if it's tough to believe. It's convenient.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's convenient to say, like, that's what happened.
Him fighting half away.
Because the thing that would be worse would be what happened to everybody that played for this organization in the last decade, which is they decided,
this ain't worth it.
What are we here for?
Yeah.
Ryan O'Reilly lost his love of the game. He got it back, right? He got it back quickly. So
very quickly.
The fight is a convenient answer for Cousins and what happened, and the less convenient one is, have the Sabres done it again?
But he's the only one like that, right? Darlene and Tage are not out here like that.
That's right.
They are not acting like that. Darlene is getting into stuff every single time he plays. So some guys are geared differently, but yeah, why Cousins? Why Cousins and not all the other guys? Like is a good question.
803-0550. We're late. We'll get a break in. If you want to give us a call on this, you can. We'll get back to some Super Bowl stuff, some trivia. Plenty to get to. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Hey, it's Sneaky Joe DiBiase here for the Roswell Park Donor Center. It is, we're still pretty close to the new year. Time for fresh starts, making a difference. This year, consider giving one of the most precious things in this world, which is the gift of life. Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Centers needs your help. Cancer patients, they always are needing blood or platelet transfusions during their treatment. And when you donate at the Roswell Park Donor Center, you're directly impacting the lives of individuals that are battling this disease. Giving blood or platelets, when you do it at Roswell Park at the Donor Center, the blood or platelets stay right there at Roswell Park, so you know you're making a direct impact to the community. Process is simple. It's straightforward. You walk in, the door's on your right. They'll set you up. Very friendly team. They're going to get you hooked up with the big comfy chairs, and you can play around on your phone while you're doing it. It just costs you a little bit of your time. We are a pro-Buffalo community. When you donate, again, the blood stays right at Roswell Park. To learn more about donating and to schedule your appointment, search Roswell Park Donor Center, or you can visit roswellpark.org. Together, let's make this year one of hope and healing for those in need by donating blood or platelets at the Roswell Park Donor Center. The Bills and Micah Hyde officially announcing his retirement from the NFL after 11 seasons in the league, most of which with the Bills, a few also with Green Bay. Hyde retires twice being a second-team All-Pro safety, Pro Bowl as well. Hyde, if there is a Wall of Fame at the new stadium or whatever they'll have, I'm sure he'll be included in some capacity. Hyde's career over in the NFL. To the rest of the league, Kirk Cousins says he still wants to be a starter in the league. That was a response, in a way, to the Falcons GM saying that they want Cousins to be their backup next year. So we'll see what happens there. Sam Darnold's interested in the Raiders, according to Alec Lewis of The Athletic. Khalil Mack's interested in staying in L.A., but he is scheduled to be a free agent. That's according to Daniel Popper of The Athletic. Also, you had Cooper Kupp and the Rams looking for a trade. That became public this week. Ian Rapport reports that the Rams are willing to take salary back in order to facilitate a trade in the Kupp deal to make it easier for a team acquiring him. And Travis Kelce says he's not retiring after the season. Still got a few more years, it sounds like. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet Sports headlines. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
You can question a lot of things when stuff like that's going on, when you're having a lot of adversity. One thing that I've never questioned was the care everybody in this room has for each other, and I've been other places, it's not the case. So definitely on the ice, there's things we've needed to work on, and I think we're turning the corner a bit here, but that's the hardest thing to find, and we have that right now.
Dennis Gilbert following his night with the Sabres, a fight and a heck of an assist. I mean, there are assists, and then there are gold star assists.
Yeah.
And a gold star deflection there from Alex Tuck. Sabres beat the Blue Jackets and extend their win streak to 4 in a row. Jeremy and Joe, good Wednesday morning. I watched a little of the TGL last night.
How was yesterday?
Which I still forget.
Who was in it yesterday?
Tomorrow's Golf League. Rory.
We had Rory? Okay.
We had Rory.
Fresh off his win at Pebble. He's not playing this week at Phoenix, though. Okay. Not at the Waste Management Open.
We had Rory. We had Keegan Bradley. I decided the only problem I have with the TGL, I only have one problem with it. It's a very stupid problem.
It's that it's not real golf?
No. I'm playing Simulator Golf League tonight. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to play golf.
Yeah, but they're in Florida.
They are. But
in Florida.
The problem is, I only have one problem with it. Really, one. And it's a silly one. The simulator that they have, I have trouble seeing where the ball's going to land because it's not quite the same camera angle as the one that I play on. So I feel like the ball's going to be way short and it lands kind of on the green. Anyway,
okay.
That's the only thing that might be tough. Like you're on the follow camera flying. But I still think the TGL is fine. It's worth it.
Rory, did you see the interview he did before yesterday on TGL, or was this even
I did not.
The day before? He was kind of open and a good question about, like, maybe this was right after Pebble. He winning at Pebble and he still doesn't have the major. And he compared himself to Scheffler and said, there's impulses that I have on the golf course that it looks like Scotty doesn't have. I have to rein those in.
I did see that because he had one bogey. The entire tournament, he had one bogey, and he said, basically, rather than trying to get as many birdies as possible, he was playing more in control.
It reminded me really of Josh Allen when I saw the quote.
Yeah,
I gotta check the ball down.
Yep.
I'm winning all the time, but I'm not winning the big one. What are these little things I got to do? And Rory's like, I got to check the ball down. It's kind of what he said, I feel like, this week.
Yeah.
Because it's now is his drought 11 years?
It's long.
Since he's won a major?
The Waste Management Open, they changed the rules this year. Not as much debauchery and drinking and craziness.
There's rules on when they can serve alcohol, I guess, which before it was like free flow, go for it whenever you want.
We're in practice rounds, and yesterday during a practice round, one of the people attending the event, a fan, jumped into a Scottsdale canal. So, who among us hasn't done that?
It has kind of earned I've seen some refer to it now as the wasted management open.
Yeah.
It kind of became that a little bit, but they kind of asked for that, didn't they?
Yes, they
want to be the party tournament.
They absolutely leaned into it. And
you lean into being the party tournament. This is what you get when you're the party tournament, is someone's jumping into the canal.
Yeah. You get pro golfers wearing basketball jerseys on one hole where there's a stadium of 20,000 people that throw beer cups at you. You
got to expect canal jumpers when you're having all that.
You do.
Think.
Kevin in Pittsburgh. Hey, Kevin. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, this is what I want in the Super Bowl. First of all, even though I live in Pittsburgh, I'm still a Bills season ticket holder, come in for every game. I want Philadelphia to be up with about a minute to go in the game. I want them up by about 2 points. I want an egregious roughing the passer call against Patrick Mahomes that extends a drive, and I want Kansas City to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. Why do you want that?
But you want it to be obvious that they win because of a call?
Yes, because I think they're going to win anyways. So I want absolute chaos.
Yeah, you want to be able to take it away from them, basically in arguments. Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right.
I don't. A completely.
I might not hate this idea.
You want a completely illegitimate Chiefs win that forces the NFL to really look at itself.
Yeah, I want something on the level of the pass interference Saints and Rams.
What would be better?
A few years
would
ago.
it be better for them to? Because you could do the other way. What if they just lose on a terrible call?
No,
wouldn't that be better? Then it would. Sucks for you. Welcome to the world, guys. You don't get all the calls. Oh, it should have been a three-peat. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Isn't.
I don't think, but fans though will never be able to again say if that happens that they get all the calls. And I don't know if
Joe.
What does a fan want? Do you want the Chiefs to lose, or do you want to have in your back pocket for the future? Well, we lost because they get all the calls.
Everybody knows the Chiefs are going to lose because the league is going to fix it, so they lose to throw people off the scent of fixing it for the Chiefs, so then the Chiefs can win the next two.
This is where, I hate how Goodell got asked that question this week about, is the league rigged? What on earth do you think he's going to say? Ask him why 11 of 12 playoff games the Chiefs have had the penalty advantage.
Because they're at home.
I know the league isn't rigged. What do you think about this? What do you think explains 11 of 12? Don't ask the commissioner if the league is rigged. What do you think he's going to say?
It's not much different to me than asking a Bills coach to respond to a guy called this place a city of losers. We don't have to actually entertain these people with their ridiculous takes. The guy in Baltimore, who cares what he thinks about this city?
Especially in this instance, when there might actually be a good, thoughtful question and conversation.
That's right.
Buried beneath, is the league rigged? But that didn't come out.
It's definitely not rigged, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of like Kevin's hypothetical better. This is a good question, though. The game is going to be decided on a horrendous call. Who do you want to win the game?
Eagles. This is an easy answer.
Well, I don't know.
It's the easiest answer of all time.
I don't think it's easy.
It's the easiest answer of all time. Put yourself in the shoes. The Bills win a Super Bowl. It's on the worst call of all time. Do you feel?
Different.
Do you feel bad about it for a single second? Who feels bad about it? No one has ever.
That's different though, because the Bills would have never won before.
Doesn't matter. But even worse, no one has ever felt bad about their own team winning and voided the win because you know what, guys? I can't celebrate because the call was clearly wrong. That's never happened.
But in this instance, you already have so much momentum built towards.
Doesn't matter.
Chiefs get all the calls. Chiefs get all the calls. It'll be never ending if it happened in their favor.
Was there a second parade in Dallas when they won the Stanley Cup? And this parade was, we don't really respect this cup win because his foot was in the crease. Never. If teams win on bad calls all the time, the Chiefs won on a bad call 2 years ago on the holding penalty against the Eagles. They don't care. In this scenario, you're saying I'd like them to win. There will.
You kind of said earlier that you don't really care if they win.
No, what I want is them to be held to a reasonable amount of points so we can pay more attention to the Bills being bad against them.
How different is that? That's not that. It's Bills geared, I guess.
Yes. I'm just going to fulfill my own narratives. That's all I'm going for. Aren't we all just doing that every day?
I do, but it does bother them too. Did you see Kelsey this week? Kelsey kind of I don't want to say he jabbed at the media, whatever. He asked the reporters why are you guys all leaning into this? And I think he's kind of right. Why are you all leaning into this? Why are you all talking about the ref stuff so much? It's in their heads a little bit. It must bother them a little bit. And if it were in their heads even more because everybody says it for eternity, again, I can't get anything else on them. They have 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
I'm going to take my wins where I have them. Even if it's this stupid little win over here, which is I get to take credit away from them. It's like the Patriots with cheating. For life, I can say, yeah, but you cheated. Even though they won 6 Super Bowls. At least I got something.
803-0550 to join us, 1-888-550-2550. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Hey, it's Sneaky Joe DiBiase here for Seneca One. Recently toured the Seneca Tower, and it is beautiful. If you've not been in it in a few years, you should check it out just to see how much nicer it is, even if you're, just passing through. But more than that, if you're looking for a place to eat or get a drink before a game, Other Half Brewing Company right by the arena is a great spot. They have an amazing IPA selection if you're into that. They have a great coffee shop, Underground's Coffee Shop, co-working spaces with incredible views. There's a dog salon. You can get your car detailed while you work. So check out Seneca One, home to businesses revitalizing downtown. There is space available. If you're looking to do business at a higher level, you should definitely be at Seneca One. I think if you tour it, you're going to be blown away. So if you want to schedule a tour, visit SenecaOneBuffalo.com, and you can schedule your tour today, again, at SenecaOneBuffalo.com.
Some of y'all are booing. You're booing. People who boo the truth are called liars. As a matter of fact, you're booing us like we want to be here anyway.
Nah. We can't wait to get the hell out of Cleveland, just like Myles Garrett.
So that's on Netflix. That's The New Day at the wrestling event in Cleveland. It's not a bad call. It's actually a great call, but we're using it for Worst Call Wednesday. Anytime you control the fans about their sports teams, it's good stuff. Worst Call Wednesday. That was not the worst call. I just wanted to play it anyway because it's a good clip. One of the worst calls you could make is to skip your recommended cancer screenings. To learn more about potentially life-saving screening recommendations and guidelines, visit roswellpark.org/screening. Jeremy and Joe, Twitter poll that. The Super Bowl is decided by a horrific call. Everyone agrees it was bad. Who wins? It would be better if which team won that way. Because I have a tough time thinking we could live in a world where the Chiefs win that way. You think people think there's a conspiracy now? It would be over, Joe.
Well, that's what I mean. I think people might want to live in
conspiracy land.
Yeah,
that's when I say over. I don't mean the conspiracy would over. I mean
the other way around.
The ability to speak about sports would be over. Everything would be. The Chiefs just won, and everybody knows the call was wrong. It would. Okay, I guess. Why watch this? We're watching, WWE. I can't handle that. I'm not ready for that. Ryan in Wheatfield, quickly before the break. Hey, Ryan. No, Ryan? Okay, no. Josh is telling me to wait. We got to wait. He's the caddy, He put the driver back in the bag. Put the driver back in the... Oh, fine. You win.
Who was the caddy that told Justin Rose to putt with a 3-wood at the end of the pub? Did you see that? There was back-to-back shots that was insane.
Was he on the apron, on the fringe?
He was like 5 yards off.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
He made it.
That's a little Texas wedge.
With a 3-wood, though?
No, it's not a Texas wedge. It's kind of like the old chipper. Yeah. You ever seen
I
one
would
of those,
normally do that with like a 7-iron.
You ever seen one of those two-way chippers?
Yeah, those are definitely illegal, aren't they?
Probably. I don't know. 803-0550. Ryan will get your call on the other side. Wide open segment. 803-0550. Some Super Bowl trivia as well. Excited for that. I'm in a trivia mood. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Hey, it's Sneaky Joe DiBiase here. If your car is taking a hit, you should trust the pros at Clinton Collision. I'm heading in there this week. I got a small little dent that they're taking care of, quick and easy. Clinton Collision is a family-owned business. It's been serving Buffalo for over 70 years. It's fender benders, touching up dings. If you got a lease return coming up, they're very helpful with that, or handling some major repairs if you need that. Clinton Collision on Clinton Street is Buffalo, and the team that I trust, and you can too. Book your free estimate. Call 716-823-2000. Again, that's 716-823-2000. Or you can head to their website, clintoncollision.com, and be sure to tell them that Sneaky Joe sent you. Sabres win streak is up to 4 after beating the Blue Jackets last night, 3-2. 2 goals by Alex Tuch helped lead the way. Dennis Gilbert, the players named him the player of the game. He had a fight off the opening faceoff and a great pass to Tuch on one of his goals as well. Sabres get the win. They are looking for 5 in a row against Nashville on Saturday. That'll be an 8 o'clock puck drop in Nashville. And then it's a 2-week break for the Four Nations tournament, which is upcoming in Montreal and in Boston. To football, Super Bowl week continues. Travis Kelce says he is not retiring after the season. If anyone was holding out hope that maybe that would happen, it is not. Kirk Cousins says he still wants to be a starter in the NFL. That's after Falcons GM Terry Fontenot said that they were comfortable with Cousins being their backup next season, so we'll see what happens there. Also, the Bills and Micah Hyde announcing officially yesterday that Hyde is retiring from the NFL after 11 seasons with Green Bay, and then most of which with the Bills. 2-time second-team All-Pro, Pro Bowl as well for the Bills. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
I think the Bills have a collection of nice players, a collection of, I think you would say, good players. They don't have like a guy. You know, like they don't have a guy that you're like, holy crap, that guy. They don't have that. And I'm not sure any of these guys are even close to being that. And then offensively, James Cook is good. You know, I love Khalil Shakir, and he's underrated. And, you know, Kincaid was a little disappointing this year. It does feel like they have put together a really good team. But, you know, to beat some of these other teams, they probably need another guy or two to get over the top.
This is for the feed, for YouTube. Hey, everybody, it's Jeremy and Joe.
He's just
Why?
Clutching
Who
his
could have
wide
seen this
receiver
coming?
Big board.
Who? The whole year was it's good to not have good players. I'm not going to get mad about it. The whole year. Actually, it's better. It's better. It's better when they don't know who you're going to throw it to.
Keep in mind that
it's already gone.
The board you were just holding had like Devontae Walker on it. Like it's not like
he's far down it. It had Brian Thomas Jr. on it.
At one point, yes, it did. Yeah.
It's fine. The Bills are great. They're in good shape. They're going to go get some good players. That's Ross Tucker basically saying, like, hey, there are a lot of nice players, but you need better ones.
You need a great player.
You need great players. Great players win these games. I mean, really, give me the 8 players most likely to impact this game. It's going to be
Sunday?
Yeah. Mahomes, Hurts, Barkley, A.J. Brown.
Worthy.
Devonta
Smith.
Chris Jones.
The Eagles have
Jalen
Carter is like a monster.
The Eagles defense does have like
they have
six,
a couple of
they have like
monsters.
6 dudes on that defense.
Yeah. I mean did we just rattle off 10 names? Every one of them would be the Bills' second best player?
Yeah, Worthy would not be the Bills' second best player.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
He's just
the rest of them might.
He's just an X factor. That's the thing about it.
That's right.
But Chris Jones would.
A.J. Brown would.
A.J. Brown would be their second best player. Would Barkley?
We'd have to get another running back conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
On where he ranks at his position, he would be.
Yeah.
Right? Is he the best running back in the league? The Bills don't have anybody else other than Allen that's even in consideration for the best at their position in the league.
Yep.
What's Dawkins? Is Dawkins like the 5th best left tackle?
He's top 10, sure.
Okay. So you get there with Dawkins. Is anybody else even in top 10? Because Barkley, like I said, he is a running back. He's number 1. Maybe James Cook is a top 10 back. If I were to really get into the nitty-gritty of like who are the 10 best running backs in football, I might want to put James Cook in there. Maybe on the back end.
Yeah, maybe. 803-0550 to join us, and 1-888-550-2550. Some trivia in a moment.
Some Super Bowl trivia.
Yeah.
You want it, or you want to do conference?
I want to get Ryan in. Ryan in Wheatfield's been waiting a minute. We'll get to Ryan.
Hey, guys. I'm not sure I'm going to waste either of our times here talking about the Sabres, and more so why I just waited on hold for 15 minutes to talk about it, but I guess that's a conversation I need to have with someone else. So the Dylan Cousins thing kind of piqued my interest. Looking back on this past summer that he had with the World Championships, understanding that it's not the most all-star studded group at the World Championships, but there's some good guys, especially internationally. And the tournament that he had, not 9 goals in 10 games, I think he was on the All-Star team, maybe even the player of the tournament. And then he goes into this year and kind of is playing like he is. Do the thoughts start creeping into his mind and the people around him that actually you're more capable of being the player this summer? It's just not this team. And I think that's happened time and time in the past, where you see these guys, the O'Reillys, the Reinhardts, that whether it's fans or the internal team running these guys out, having high-level success elsewhere. Jack Eichel, obviously, just to name a few. So I would not be surprised if Cousins goes somewhere else, and I'm not saying he's going to be a top-end player, but he could certainly be a factor more than he is now. And I think he's shown that. And I think maybe for him personally, this past summer really confirmed that maybe I am that player, just not here. And I think that's happened in the past.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out every time he goes to these international tournaments, right?
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's playing on the wing also when that's happening.
Cousins is also the guy, when they fired Granato, because Granato did great things for Cousins, right?
He was
blossomed.
for sure. He's the guy more than anyone right now that I'm wondering, can he only thrive in a system like Granato's?
Well, that's the point. You bring it up. The idea that he was some sort of defensive stalwart was never true.
No.
And they hire Lindy with the idea of we're going to be more of a defensive team, so is Cousins the kind of guy that is trying to focus on that, and in doing so has lost everything else? Like, doesn't know where to be.
Right.
You lost it.
I wonder how miscast he's been. Like, the whole time, the nickname, workhorse from Whitehorse. He's Bergeron. He's going to be our two-way guy. And, okay, he's not very good in his own end. Are you just going to keep trying to make him into that?
Yeah.
Or, like, is there ever an exception? I wonder how they use him, because that's really more in almost like X's and O's of hockey. Like, what? I wonder what his numbers would look like. Like, how often does he start in the defensive zone versus the offensive zone compared to, like, Thompson and other guys? Because, again, like, his defensive numbers are not good. You do see him make a lot of mistakes in that regard. He scored 68 points 2 years ago playing in a style of system where you could make as many mistakes as you wanted. We're going to play loose and free, and we're going to try to score as many goals as possible. And he was awesome doing that. Fast up and down the ice. You don't have to think as much, right? Like, you're playing on instinct. You're just flying up and down the ice. Him more than anyone, I'm wondering, system changed. Hasn't done anything since.
Yeah.
As much as we want to point to the Hathaway fight, it probably is more likely that the system is more to blame for why Cousins
that's right, because
isn't the same.
And it's not even the coach, because they changed the system last year. Right? They went to defensive Granato. Okay, we're gonna buckle down in this department, and then Lindy was a continued effort to do that. Yeah.
And that's some of the flaw of the player, too. Like, if he isn't growing in the way you want him to in his own end and to become that two-way center, then, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to what you did before to cater to one player? I mean, you could argue that a lot of players, didn't play nearly as well when they did that. But for him, I don't know how much longer we need to see him not perform in this type of role before they decide something drastic, which I don't even know what would you call, like, just if they came out tomorrow and said, he's a winger now. We're done trying him at center. He's not a center. $7 million on the wing, like, we're not putting him back at center the rest of the season. Like, if they just decided tomorrow to do that, I'd be like, okay. Because it's been 140 games where he hasn't been performing down the middle. And all these international tournaments we're speaking of, he's playing on the wings. Like, what? At this point, I'm 12 points out. What's to lose? Let me see if I can salvage anything out of this guy doing a different role. But you've already put Thompson at wing. So, like, again, you're losing centers one by one. Middlestat gets traded. Right. Thompson's on the wing. Like, you can't do it with everybody.
803-0550. Mike in Kansas City. Hey, Mike. Good morning.
Hey, how are you guys?
Pretty good.
Well, I guess the reason I'm calling is just to let you know that we have a Bills backers bar here, and we are boycotting the game. We are not watching the game, but we are going to the bar, and we're going to have like a party, but it's not going to be a football party.
This is in Kansas City?
yes, we're totally against what has happened a couple weeks ago, but we are also totally against what the NFL has been pulling on the Buffalo Bills and a lot of other teams. So we're boycotting it because of that. Now, here's
because Mike, because you believe it to be fixed.
Well, yeah, but here's the other. No, I don't believe it to be fixed. I believe the referees don't know what they're doing. I don't believe it to be fixed. You know, I've never been that guy to believe that there's a fix going on, but I do believe the referees don't know what they're doing. The other thing is,
could you be more specific?
Yes. Let's start with the punt return 2 weeks ago. It was about a 65-yard punt return. There was literally, if you go back and look at that, there was literally 5 block in the backs, 3 holds, and 1 clip.
Okay.
And if you go back and look at that, you'll see that. And what you'll see is when I don't remember the guy that ran the ball, but when he turned the corner to get to the sidelines, there was a blatant hold, and the referee was looking right at it, directly at it. If you watch it, you'll see it, but you got to look at it. Obviously in slow motion, you'll be able to see it. And I believe it's the referees that they're just not good enough anymore.
They're not supposed to call holding on every play. A lot of the belief is you could call holding on every play.
No.
And you don't want holding called on every play. And if you go back and find every Bills punt return, you might find holding calls as well.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is the blatant calls have to be called.
They
have to be
but
called.
We don't want. Go ahead.
I was offered tickets to go to the Super Bowl for free because I'm in business. So I was offered 2 tickets to go to the Super Bowl for free and to sit in the corner box and for nothing. And I turned them down. Because Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and I will not watch the Kansas City Chiefs. I would root for the Eagles over Kansas City for sure. I believe Jalen Carter is going to be your MVP. He's a monster, and I think he's going to end up destroying Patrick Mahomes. And I do think the Eagles are going to win, but I'm just so against the way that Roger Goodell is running this business. It's really disgusting. The reason that they have one more thing.
Yep.
The reason they have Roger Goodell as the commissioner is because of his marketing ability. But I will tell you one thing. My 3-year-old grandson can market the NFL as good as he can. The NFL markets itself. Doesn't need Roger Goodell to be there to market it. His responsibility is to oversee the game, and he does not do that.
He works for the owners, is
Yes,
what he does. He works for the owners. Let me ask you this, Mike. Let me just ask you this. I mean, I've got somebody on the line that wants to make a case that the league is fixed or something or whatever, or not fixed. Well, you're pretty much getting there. You're saying it without saying it. It's really what you're doing. Let me ask you something, Mike.
Yeah.
If you owned the Buffalo Bills,
yes,
would you continue to own that team in a league where you felt like you were being screwed out of the ability to win because the league is marketing for some sort of grander scheme or something?
Yes.
Would you sell your team?
No.
Why?
No.
Hold on, Mike. You're a billionaire. This is a league of 32 billionaires in competition. Did you see Shad Khan's yacht? Everything they do is competing with other billionaires to be the best billionaire. And one of the things you can do to be the best billionaire is to win the fancy fantasy football league that the entire world watches. These guys want to, not every owner wants to win the same. Some like to just own a team and have a team. But most of them want to win. The players in this league, the coaches in this league, these people dedicate billions of hours of their lives and careers to play and be in this league and make millions of dollars. It is not fixed. It is not some international scandal if a guy misses a holding call. There are holding calls missed in every single game. We don't want holding called on every play, because if it was called on every play, the league would grind to a halt. We'd stop watching it. We're watching it.
Not 5 of them.
What?
But not 5 of them on one play. I get that. I totally get that. But not 5 of them on one play. And as far as the spots are concerned, the one referee had the spot. He was closer to the play. He had the spot as a first down.
I know. I saw it.
The other guy walked on the other side of the line.
So what happened? What happened in that moment? What actually happened in that moment? What really happened?
When they got close to each other,
yep.
The one that had the first down actually moved over towards where the other one was. So the other official was the head official.
It's not the head. There's 2 linesmen. One ran down one side, one ran down the other. Josh threw the ball to one guy. He put it at his feet. Why did he put it there? Because he thought it was short. Then they reviewed it and they decided that it was short. Like this is not a conspiracy. I don't think you're going as far as saying it's a conspiracy. You're just complaining about bad calls. I have a very hot take. My very hot take is that officiating is as good as it's ever been. That's my very hot take.
Not even close.
What year was it the best?
Well, let me put it this way.
I want you to answer that question. We're having a good conversation here.
I'm going to start. I'm going to start by telling you.
Okay.
If you listen to me, I'll tell you. I've been watching football since 1969. I watched every Super Bowl game that there was, even though I was pretty young.
Okay.
I still watched them all. Okay. Back in the 70s, the officiating was much better. But also,
when? What year? What was the best year of officiating? And what made it good?
Well, I would say what made it good was the rules have changed. Pass interference has changed. If you look at the defenders that are covering the receivers, back in the 70s, just about every single play that the defender is covering is going to be considered pass interference because it's screening. That was the play where you looked at the player.
Okay. I don't really know what we're getting at here. Now we're getting into the 1970s rule changes. Anyway.
Yeah, well, but that's the reason. So I would say between 75 and 79.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the phone call.
I don't think it was better then. I mean, I was not alive for it. I bet if I went back and rewatched Super Bowl 10, that I'm going to be watching the game and going, they just missed that. They just missed that. I mean, I've often wondered this with the way replay is now. How many? It takes so much work, and no one probably wants to do this.
There's a great example of what you're about to say. The immaculate reception was not accurately caught on camera.
Right.
They didn't catch it on camera.
More than that, I'm even wondering, how many touchdowns were scored in big, important NFL games that were not touchdowns?
No idea.
But they just didn't have review back then. They didn't have camera angles. But, you could even see it on the TV. Oh, yeah, his knee was down at the 1. They called the touchdown. Well, I guess that's it.
My belief on this is, and listen, I don't have to be right about this. It's just my opinion. And thanks, Mike, for calling in and indulging me and having a conversation. And if you're boycotting the game, well,
you're not alone.
You're not alone, and I'll get mad for you because I'll probably yell about a holding call that gets missed. But
see, this is why you don't want the Chiefs to win on a terrible call on Sunday, because it'll be this times 100.
At some point, I kind of don't care. I don't think officiating is terrible. I think it's fine. The thing that has changed is every single year we get more things to overturn. Now, every single call, we got a guy in the booth talking about it. We have made the calls a star of the show, and that never used to be the thing. The reason you're more mad than ever is because of how much we review. That's it. That's the reason you're mad. Why were the 70s great? They didn't replay. Gene Steratore didn't sit there and break it down in 7 different angles and tell you, could go this way, could go that way.
But that's not the league implementing replay. That's us watching on TV and there being so many cameras to watch. Because if they didn't have replay review and Sunday happened against the Bills and the Chiefs,
then you would think it was fixed. That's how you.
Okay,
if you wanted to fix a league, you would not have reviews.
Right, but you would think. You would watch that and you would be maybe even more mad because you would see it. You would see, okay, he got the first down. I don't have an avenue to look back at that. And I would still see all these amazing replay reviews because Fox has got 9,000 cameras all around the game. So I'm going to see it. It's just, do you want to look at it? That's it. To me, when I hear we don't have the best officiating we've ever had right now, I actually think we do. To me, the reason we do, though, is because the officials don't make calls anymore.
Yeah, they send it to the sky judge.
Because they don't have the best view.
No.
That's it.
That's right.
The guy, why do you think offensive coordinators sit in the booth? You see it better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a coincidence to me that we do have the best officiating we've ever had. I'm not saying it's perfect. It definitely isn't. I mean, we've had mistakes in these Chief games even, and others. But the reason we have the best officiating we ever have is because I'm not watching these dudes on the field mess up anymore. I see a guy that has a 10 times better view than them, within 3 seconds say, actually it's this. And bam, it's called.
And they just said they'll now consider reviewing roughing the passer. Now
I don't even want to call it review anymore, though. I want to call Sky Judge the official.
Right.
I want to start calling him the ref. Dress him in the stripes if you want. To me, that's all. It's dressing things up. Don't even call it review anymore. Just put the head official in the booth. That's it.
And get Gene Steratore out. I'll take the trade. That's a trade.
I'll take that trade too. And then you get fewer of these 3-minute reviews, by the way. You still get some of them, but that, man, I think they're tracking towards where you want to be. The biggest complaint I ever had about replay was how freaking long it took.
Right, and they've been better at that.
It's so much quicker. I bet the average time of a replay review, if we want to count the after discussion calls, 20 years ago, I bet the average review was what? 2.5 minutes? What is it now? Is it 9 seconds?
They used to have a 90-second limit. I feel like at some point it was before it was 90 seconds. They might have gone 2 minutes or so.
And now most are within 10 seconds.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of a whatever. You might not think this is sound logic, but are NHL linesmen worse than ever at calling offside?
I'm never going to give anyone worse than ever. No.
Well, the reason I ask it is look at all the goals that are being taken away now. How are they missing these offsides? The answer is they're letting them go, and then be like, let the system sort it out.
But now we
have a heightened attention.
Yeah.
And when they miss it, who do we get mad at? Are they fixed? Has anyone ever said an NHL official has fixed a game because an offside was let go when it was off by a millimeter?
No.
Just the NFL? Is baseball fixed? Is basketball fixed? We've had gambling scandals. Is the NBA fixed?
Was it ever said about Jordan?
No.
That he gets all the calls?
I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't.
I feel like you've heard it about LeBron, but it's definitely not true. But it's been said about LeBron, but maybe it's only because you're right. Like there are these other examples of dynasties where it's not really, you're not getting it. It's very rare that I think you're getting a complaint like this.
I don't know how
we didn't really get this about the Patriots, did we? Did we? Did the Patriots get all the calls?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
The team that wins...
The Chiefs, though, you have numbers behind it.
The team that wins gets accused of having all the calls. So the team that wins all the time is going to, of course, have more numbers for them. Whatever.
Right, but that's the one thing. Like, if that stat didn't exist, then none of this would exist.
Who's in second place? I asked you that last week, too. I
gotta go back to Warren Sharp's article.
Warren Sharp didn't look it up.
No, I think he had the chart.
Warren Sharp probably doesn't look up. He doesn't want a statistical data breakdown. If it looks like a good headline, it's going to sell.
He has become more of that. That's true.
He's a troll.
Yeah.
Warren Sharp is an engagement troll now. That's a personal vendetta of mine.
Warren Sharp?
A little bit. He posts stuff like, where is this player running? It's like, well, buddy, he was trying to... Anyway, I'm too deep in the weeds now. I'm too worked up. You can't sound like... This is not what Mike was doing. You can't sound like a sane person and say the NFL wanted the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because of ratings. You can't sound like a sane person and say it. Like I don't know how you do it. And I know a lot of people do say it. It is a league that produces $20 billion in revenue a year. And yeah, they're expanding to Brazil. They're expanding to Peacock and Paramount. And guess what? Every one of these places that they give an outlet and more money comes in, the moment it is fixed, it all goes away.
Yeah.
They make the money by it not being fixed. If you think it's rigged, you really need to stop watching. You have to.
The stats, by the way, that Sharp had was the Chiefs. So this was at the time. They had played 11 playoff games in the last 4 years, and they had 10 games with the penalty advantage. They had 1 game without it.
Can I ask you the penalty advantage?
Plus 9.
Okay, the penalty advantage. Is that yards? Is that just penalties?
That is...
Because sometimes there's 5 penalties for 50 yards. Sometimes there's 3 penalties for 90 yards.
He has both.
Okay.
They're plus 9 in both.
Plus 9 in count.
Plus 9 more games with the advantage than without. And nobody else is better than plus 2.
No.
And that's... Go ahead.
That's not what I'm... Okay, go ahead.
No one else is better than plus 2 with more penalties called. With fewer penalties called. And by yardage, nobody's better than plus 1.
Okay, the team that's plus 2, how many games did they play?
4.
So they're plus 2 in 4 games.
Yeah, the Lions. They've had 3 games with the advantage, 1 without.
Okay. So if the Lions had played 11 games,
right,
would they be plus 8?
By that math, yeah.
The Chiefs have a sample of 11 games. The Lions have a sample of 4 games.
Right. The other teams that have played a lot of games, if you want that, 7 for the Eagles. They've got the advantage in 3. They don't in 4.
Were they on the road or are they home?
I don't know. Okay. Niners 4 and 5. Bills 3 and 5.
Home and road.
Really,
home and road.
Really,
home and road.
I guess what you want here is, if you believe the league is fixing playoff games, and I don't, but whatever, the Chiefs are getting all these calls, then you should also believe the Bengals. Everyone's against, because the Bengals are minus 5, 1-6.
How many home games have the Bengals played in the playoffs versus road?
Right, it's just a home and road thing. I mostly agree with that. That it's more about home and road,
and that the Lions there versus the Chiefs should jump off the page. Oh wow, the Chiefs are a plus 9 through 11 games. The Lions are a plus 3 through 4 games. That's the same thing.
The Vikings are 2-0, but they've only played 2.
Okay, I guess
Right.
Like this is it. You're being fed stats that are meant to look like something. Home teams get calls.
You don't think 10-1 though is a little interesting?
Give me another team.
It doesn't have to be that it's
Give
fixed.
me another team with 11 home games, and then let's find out. Because are they 9-2 on getting the calls, more penalties versus not? That's not a significant difference. Do you want to dig into the stats, or you just want to look at the headline and be like, well, look at that, 11-0. All right.
Did they have more in the Bills playoff game last year here?
I believe they did. No, I believe that who knows?
See.
We don't remember
we don't remember it.
We don't remember a penalty from that game. Do you remember any penalty from that game?
No.
I don't either.
They did have the advantage. It was 15-28, though. It's
in
not
yards?
It's not like yardage made any difference. 13-yard difference, whatever.
Good segment. Good chat. 803-0550.
More of this if the Chiefs win on a bad call on Sunday.
That's what I mean. Like, they have to lose. They're going to win, of course, because they always do. All right. We'll get a break, and we still have Super Bowl trivia and plenty else coming up.
I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media and they get a new life. As you say, it's not your theory, but it's out there. Nobody wants it to be their theory. And so I understand it. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion. And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better?
Roger Goodell from Super Bowl week. Jeremy and Joe. We've done a good job avoiding the Super Bowl this week.
We really have.
Myles Garrett helped. The Sabres not responding to Tage.
Yeah, that did it.
And here we are. It's Wednesday, and we're fired up about this.
The hockey team gave us something to talk about.
That's right. We're yelling. Not necessarily a good thing, but 4-game win streak for them. We'll get some Super Bowl trivia in a moment. I just noted that the television here, it's an ESPN Get Up. The topic of the morning is the Chiefs' greatness underappreciated? You should welcome to hell, baby. Welcome. This is it. Bob in Rochester. Hey, Bob.
Good morning, guys. I was listening to the call from the gentleman from Kansas City, and I don't think he was saying that the game is fixed or that the refs are on the take or anything like that. He said they don't know what they're doing, and that's just a way of saying they're incompetent. Yep. And I do think they're incompetent. Well, not all of them, of course, but some of them are incompetent. And the league needs to make changes. Number one, they need to put a chip in the ball.
There is a chip There is a chip in the ball. We do know that the technology does not yet have it where they can get it to within less than 6 inches of margin for error. That's where it is right now. If the chip in the ball does not specifically go directly to the spot, it's got a 6-inch margin for error.
Okay, well, it certainly would help. They don't have to. In this case, I think it was probably a foot. They were off by. Actually, they were probably off by a yard, if you look at the two officials, or half a yard at least. But that's number one. But number two, these NFL players are the very best in the country, and when the Bills play Kansas City, it's the best of the best. We have the best of the best football players, but we don't have the best of the best referees. There's no football teams turn over every year because some guys get beat out by the college players who get drafted, and they get cut and they're gone. That's not true with referees. Referees have 25, 30-year careers.
Well, if they're good, plenty of NFL players.
There's no training camps for refs. So if a guy from the NCAA who might be 25 or 30 years old wants to apply for a job, he's going to have to just wait until somebody retires. And an NFL's ref's career should not be a granted thing that they just get every year. They should have to compete for their job just like the football players do. And also, I think the refs shouldn't be a part-time job. The NFL players are not part-time. It's not a part-time job for them. Why should NFL refs have the guy who was in charge of the Bills Kansas City game, the head referee, is a personal injury lawyer?
Let me ask you this, Bob. What difference would it make? The part-time conversation.
It would be a tremendous difference because instead of having 35, 40-year-old guys, or in some cases maybe 50-year-old guys running up and down the field with these 25-year-old players, we would get the very best referees who are selected every year, and some of them, I'm sure maybe 75, 80% of them would be guys who were veteran refs, but every year they would look at these guys and say, I don't think this guy can keep up with these players anymore. We're going to cut him, and we're going to replace him with this guy from the NCAA.
Well, they do that. I mean, there are. I don't know. The referee pool does turn over somewhat. I mean, there are going to be people that stay in the job because they're good. I mean,
they don't have to prove it. They don't have to.
Yes, they get evaluated. They get evaluated every year. They get evaluated game to game. And the best crews get the postseason games.
Okay, well, the best crew of the current crop. I'm just saying that should not have to.
But there's not. Thanks, Bob.
It should not be assumed. Well, I understand what you're saying, Jeremy, but it should not be assumed that just because you were in the league last year, you get your job back the following year.
I don't think it is assumed that these guys do a good enough job. It's not like there's this other league full of refs. I mean, if you want to say they should pour millions of an investment into officiating, I don't know.
There's also a union, so I don't know if you can just fire guys also.
They had replacement refs, and everyone said, bring back the regular refs.
Yeah, replacement refs.
And I can remember saying to you, you don't like those guys any better. It's no different. Bring back the regular refs. It took about a week to be like, these guys think too. It's just the nature of it. Thanks, Bob. 803-0550. I looked, and they had 6 new officials this year in 2024. 6.
Okay.
There are 121 officials. So this year, 6 new ones came in.
Okay.
Is there a number there that's better? Is it retirement? Were people kicked out because they weren't good, because they didn't know the rules? Who knows? I'm ready for trivia.
All right. Want some Super Bowl trivia?
I do. I
want get off the ref conversation.
As long as the Chiefs are not a part of it, yes.
All right. The Chiefs are mostly not a part of this. I've got a list of Super Bowl coaches that have lost multiple Super Bowls. I got 9 names. I think you do good. I would set the bar at 7.
Okay, because
Sirianni
could lose.
Sirianni would become the 10th. If Sirianni loses on Sunday, he'll be that 10th coach ever to lose multiple Super Bowls.
Okay.
Who are the 9 that precede him?
Kyle Shanahan.
Correct. 2. Has lost 2 Super Bowls recently.
Marv
lost 4 in a row, of course. He's correct. He is not the only one that lost 4.
Dan Reeves
lost 4. And did not win one. 0 for 4, Dan Reeves.
Bill Belichick.
Belichick lost 3. Twice to the Giants, once to the Eagles.
So that's 4. You want me to get 7?
Yeah. Get 7. You got Marv, you got Shanahan, you got Reeves, and you got Belichick.
Okay.
And you've only got a couple that are old school. And they're famous. I would say famous.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid lost twice. Once with the Eagles in 2004, and then once with the Chiefs against Brady and the Bucks in 2020.
Okay, that's 5. You're expecting me to get 2 more?
I think you should be able to get 2 more. Yes.
I got to do the thing where I go look at the logo.
Because really, all 5 of these are gettable.
Right.
I think. But you've got a couple are more recent, kind of more recent, and then a couple are a little older. 1 more lost 4. But that's one of the old school guys. Actually, you have 2 more guys that lost 4 Super Bowls. 2 more coaches that lost 4 Super Bowls apiece.
Also lost multiple Super Bowls.
Yep, you've got Shanahan, Belichick, Marv, Reeves, and Reed. No. I just want to for myself see if you're going to beat the chat here.
Beat the chat, okay.
Although I don't see it.
Let's go with. Who am I thinking here?
Josh, you got a guess?
I'm tapped out. I'm trying. I'm looking at logos too, and I just can't think of anything.
Can't ask Owen in there because he knows the answers.
Got some?
Yeah. I sent him the list for the stream, so he knows them all. You want hints?
Sure.
Okay. Both the 2 most recent both lost with 2 different teams.
Boom, 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 boom.
Is that a bad hint? It didn't really help you much, did it?
Yeah. I feel like there'd be a lot of that.
What's a good hint for these 2 gentlemen? I don't even know what to.
Give me a team.
Green Bay. Holmgren. Once with Green Bay, once with Seattle.
Yeah.
Lost twice.
Okay.
Denver.
I already said Dan Reeves.
Yep.
Mike Shanahan. No.
Nope.
Not Gary Kubiak.
Nope. Kubiak won. This guy got fired, I think. He lost the Super Bowl with Denver. I think he got fired, and maybe Kubiak was the one who won it.
Oh, I know this answer. Is it John Fox?
John Fox.
Carolina.
Once with Denver, once with Carolina. He lost multiple Super Bowls.
Okay.
And then you're missing the three older gentlemen here, one of which is he lost 4 and won 2.
Paul Hamilton texts in Bud Grant.
Bud Grant, 0 for 4. Bud Grant. King of the garage sale, Bud Grant. Bills fans do not hold this person in very high regard. I mean high regard. I mean, they just don't like him. He went 2 for 6 in Super Bowls.
I don't know.
Competition committee.
Don Shula.
Don Shula.
Yep.
And then Tom Landry is the final answer.
Okay.
He got 2. So Shanahan, Belichick, Marv, Reeves, Reed, Holmgren, John Fox, Bud Grant, Don Shula, and Tom Landry. And if he loses on Sunday, Nick Sirianni will join that list. Those are your losers.
Like
Super Bowl.
Good trivia. Jeremy and Joe, Extendo Sports coming up, then the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show on WGR.
All right, it's time for building a better strategy for the Buffalo Sabres. The stat I have for you on the Sabres is on goaltending. Quality start percentage, specifically. Which is not perfect, but it's more about consistency.
Luukkonen's number's not as big as I thought it was.
For quality start percentage?
Yeah.
Well, his number's not as big, but minimum 10 games on the NHL this season, James Reimer is number 1 in the NHL in quality start percentage. 857.
You know,
85% of the time.
The number that really drove home for Luukkonen, his really bad starts, that's another one where they do, like, save percentage maybe below 750 or something.
Or allowing, like, 5 or more or something.
Yeah. He's got, I think he has 9 really bad starts, which is a big number.
He's been much more rocky this year.
Yeah.
But Reimer's been consistent. Hasn't won. I mean, he's only 2-6-1 as a record, but he hasn't had like a real bad game. One real bad game. Building a Better Strategy presented by SalesRebel.ai. Build better strategies. Visit SalesRebel.ai today to learn more. I don't know if my strategy would be to play Reimer more, but, you know.
All right. That's it for us. We're back tomorrow. It'll be a Thursday. Tomorrow night, the MVP.
Tomorrow is MVP day.
What are the current odds?
There really aren't any.
Yeah.
They haven't been up since the end of the regular season.
All right. Sal's coming up, Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show next.